Oh. The Roswell epilogue-y thingy, on top of having a day with an asterisk next to it, also loses the route color.
Yeah, I thought I noticed that last time.
The asterisk was obvious up there, but I don't think you were still in the stream when I saved.
No, it was when the day changed. There also was a question mark, I think, underneath the path where it says like path A, path B. Pretty sure it had a question mark.
Shit's getting weird.
Yeah.
We headed back over, noticing that Dean and Haas hadn't moved from the back door. They hadn't noticed us, and once safely downstairs again, we split off to do what we needed to do. Sal and Tyson looked up as I entered. It seemed as though they were done working out, or at the very least, Tyson had stopped. Sorry about that. Everything's, I won't say fine, but you know. So what did he want? Just telling me what's going to happen tonight with Dominic.
Any good news?
I get the impression that he doesn't typically give good news, Tyson.
Well, great.
Sal, so what was I saying before about a plan? Right, a plan. Did you have one in mind? I do, kind of. Let's hear it. So in the worst case scenario, you all need to escape by going by the main road.
Plan.
The plan is to go to the road.
The plan is we wait 3 weeks, and then we leave through, hear this, the front door. I hate this story so much. Fine.
But what about Orlando or the others?
Fuck, I just got up and I forgot to grab water, which is the whole reason why I got up. This is going to be suffering.
Fool. You fool.
I'll be right back. I'm going to grab my water. Give me a second.
I'll just complain again. So this is giving me aftershocks once again, because this is the topic that made me give up on the Password Discord. Is I brought up the question of like, why do people always be like, but what about Orlando, whenever they're going to leave through the rocky blown up thing? And they did not give satisfying answers. And they also sound like they had never thought about it before. And I'm like, what? Everyone just constantly is like, what about Orlando? Like, it's just universally understood that Orlando can't cross the rocks. But that's never established in any reasonable way. And Orlando is not, like, characterized as being infirm.
I have returned.
What's up?
I have water now.
I was just talking about the absurdity of how Orlando's uniquely, for some reason, the person who can't climb the rocks and everyone else can, apparently. Or it's just they always speak of Orlando specifically, even though he's not remarkably obese or in any way ranked, categorized as being like infirm or otherly abled or in any way whatsoever. And strangely, they keep bringing him up before Roswell, the person who's dying of all people.
Yeah.
They're so quick to it's just the game forgot to establish that Orlando can't climb the rocks. And then so they just refer to it like they all agreed upon this being impossible. It's
Correct.
very strange.
I don't get it myself.
Yeah. Also, that style, I feel like that style of drawing ones in the background is distinctly un-American. That's it. No one does that. I think I first saw ones drawn that way in German class.
No idea.
It'll work. Thanatos does it well.
Thanatos. Trustworthy Thanatos, who never lies.
I don't know. Though he did say to wait until the house started to burn. Don't try it before then.
So what, we let the house catch fire and then bail?
Presumably we're watching from the road for the smoke. I don't think he meant that we run for it after the house is already on fire with us inside.
They would never do that.
But this is if I don't come back, remember? Hopefully I do. Know the safe way out.
What? The commas in this sentence are breaking my brain.
Hopefully I do, comma, know the safe way out, comma, and we can all just leave instead.
Yeah, it should say and know the safe way out. He's going to gain the knowledge from knowing the safe way out when he comes back.
Yes.
But it's strange.
I understand. Though convincing certain others to stay put will be difficult.
You mean Dave?
I wasn't going to say it so bluntly, but yes.
On that, Tyson, can I talk to you?
About?
I think we should talk.
We're talking right now?
Remember what you did to us, Tyson?
How could you forget what you did to us?
No, I mean something more personal.
Okay.
He means privately, Tyson. Wow.
Good job, Sal, for comprehending subtext for the first time in the entire plot.
It's all right, Sal. We can step out. Maybe just have a quick talk in the basement. It won't be long. With some coaxing from Sal, Tyson followed behind me into the basement, and I continued leading him across the vault. I was nervous, pacing as I tried to figure out how to approach this. Thanatos had said to be honest, so I just had to go for it. So, this is about Dave.
What about him? You're not about to start something because we're dating, are you?
No, nothing like that. It's something more serious.
Serious how?
So we both love Dave and want what's best for him. Hell, we all want what's best for Dave.
Why? What?
Your point?
When I go into the woods, there's every chance he's gonna either want to follow or get away somehow. He's too selfish in wanting to keep everyone safe.
Well, yeah, what do you expect?
I need a favor. I need you to stop Dave from going into the woods by any means necessary.
Well, this doesn't work. Sure, easy enough.
His tone and lack of attention implied that he was brushing me off, and I clenched my jaw in frustration.
Why would he be brushing him off? Tyson's the one that also keeps making ultimatums about Dave's safety and abandoning everyone for just Dave and so on.
No, if you're gonna follow through on this, you need to do everything you can to stop him. Distract him, keep him preoccupied with something. Lock him in his room if you need to. If you don't, he'll die. The moment I said the magic words, I knew I had his attention properly.
Oh, you mean he'll be in danger? I hadn't figured that out yet. What the fuck? It's like reflexively there was the urge to have them have a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just had it. So they just inherently were at odds with each other, even though it was literally about the thing they agree on, which is keeping Dave safe. And so the answer for why the conflict existed is that Tyson was too stupid to understand that Dave shouldn't follow him into the woods because it will be dangerous. He just thought it was like unrelated.
If Dave leaves the house today, you won't get him back.
Bullshit. Why?
Thanatos told me what happens. That's why it has to be me that goes out. I have a shot of surviving.
And you're saying Dave doesn't?
I'm saying it's proven that if he goes out and dies, it's proven that he goes out, he dies. Otherwise, Thanatos wouldn't have come to tell me just before to tell you that it's going to happen.
I don't believe you, for some reason, inexplicably.
What will it take for you to believe me? This is for Dave.
We don't like each other, so how do I know this isn't some sort of trick?
What kind of trick?
First time?
What kind of trick would this even be?
Spend time with your boyfriend so he doesn't hurt himself.
I don't know. Sounds like you're trying to trick me.
Just completely
Roswell.
Incoherently written characters. Just what the fuck does this mean? What are you
Well,
talking about?
I'm trying to understand what the trick would be. Like what?
No, I have no idea.
What? You know, like it doesn't.
Like, the thing that Roswell's saying does not require any level of trust.
No.
He's not saying, quick, you and Dave need to go alone to the windmill tonight. It's the only way he'll survive. Like, that's the kind of weird thing where you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't believe you. Why would I trust you? No, he's just saying, like, don't let Dave go into the scary place where all the monsters are. There's a bunch of murderers in the woods. If he goes in the woods, he's gonna die today. What? That's a trick.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Well, like, the part of that that's even crazier to me is just like, even if it did require trust, even if we were on the assumption that Roswell was like a trickster character that has been established as a trickster to Tyson, who has like played pranks on them in the past or like pulled something over on them, I still don't understand what the end result of tricking, like how you even get to that logic point of like, I don't know, seems fishy to me, is like, what would be fishy? What does Roswell get out of this? What? Like, what? From what angle?
It's like he'd have to really gain from it, because like the stakes are way too high for it to be like, just playing a funny prank for no reason. Like, what? What?
That was before.
Before what?
Before I understood how much you meant to Dave.
Okay, .jpg. All right.
Once again, just then clarify, and the clarification and response still just doesn't make sense, because I'm just like, what? Would you have otherwise tricked Tyson today if you didn't know that? What do you mean? That doesn't make sense either. What do you mean? What do you mean? What does he mean? You just said you're dating in this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were horrible to us as kids. Did you forget what you did to us? For as little as I was around, I still remember. I remember the mean things you did, and I've heard about the other stuff you did after I left. I heard about what you were like to Orlando, too.
It drives me crazy because it's just... all the conversations are written like there's an end point that you're just kind of like sleepwalking towards, so the characters just talk past each other constantly.
Yeah, and this is another reason of like, how would this be a trick? Because again, if Tyson's perspective is Roswell does not like me because I was a bully in the past, he does not want me near Dave or his friends. It is clearly a trick when he asks me to spend time around Dave, the person he actively doesn't want me to get. Like, what does he get out of that? Yeah. How would that align with Roswell's goals in any world? I don't get it.
But they're just like talking past each other in a way that's like, it reminds me of like what I've seen of like the Avatar like live action show, where like the conversations keep not making sense, where it's like, they don't answer each other's questions. They don't actually respond to the thing the person just said in the conversation. They're just both kind of on autopilot towards an overall goal for the conversation that the writer has, so they don't act like people. Like, he said, how do I know it's not a trick? You're like, like before, like, or whatever. Then he's like, that was like before. And he's like, before what? Before I learned how much you mean to Dave. What do you mean? And then he says this. This is not an answer to that question.
No, not at all.
This is a clarification on before, but we've moved past that by him saying, ever since I learned how much you mean to Dave. That's a new topic. And then he says, what do you mean? Which is in response to how much you mean to Dave, which is insane because he already said that your boyfriend in this scene, so you already know what you mean to Dave. But then Roswell does not clarify about what he means to Dave or what the clarification, like, he's just saying... what you did to us. I'm like, what? It doesn't scan. It's not a conversation. It's just unrelated things. They're saying stuff at each other.
Fundamentally bizarre.
He stood there quietly, eyes occasionally flicking to the floor rather than stay locked with mine.
English.
And somehow, despite all that, he's willing to defend you. Do you know what his argument against me was when I brought it up with him? About inviting you?
No.
I brought it up with him?
I thought he explicitly Well, maybe it might have been on one of the earlier days rather than before.
Like, after it was too late or something? Because I was like, what?
Possibly.
This is one of the first problems that spread up this whole narrative, is that Roswell does, considering what we learned about Roswell and Tyson, Roswell did not put up nearly enough of a fuss on day 0 about this, which is so weird. What?
That you changed. He didn't want to acknowledge that you did bad things. He didn't want to think about how that would have affected myself or Orlando.
You should say me there, I think.
Just that you were important enough to bring along.
And then you tried to rape him, so... Not the strongest point, honestly. I have changed. Because of him.
Which is great. And it was bad of me to assume that after so long he didn't have a positive influence on you. But that's not going to make what you did back then magically okay.
No one said it did.
Or what you
Why
did
is it relevant?
Or what you did a few days after that conversation, which this narrative has never been able to handle. Even these conversations are reliant on the idea that Tyson changed into a better person before the game started, and his entire arc happened off camera. But he does the worst thing so far in this game that's worse than anything he could have done in any of the other stuff. Anything way worse than bullying children.
He went to speak, but I cut in first, pointing at him decisively with a finger. But you know what? Keeping Dave alive. But do you know what will? Keeping Dave alive. Keeping him safe. When I found out you were so entrenched in his life, I worried that you were going to break him apart after I was gone.
I mean, he did break him apart in a sense.
He opened him up.
Split him in half, really.
Walk. I wouldn't.
I'm allowed to be funny. Laugh at my jokes, you fool. You're letting all of this gold spill onto the floor.
Oh no. There's gold on the floor. A shower of gold, if you will.
Then prove it. Do this for me. Then it'll be okay. That's what I want as an apology.
Fine. Dave comes first.
And I'm sorry for every wrong assumption I made about you.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry too. For the shit I did as a kid.
I know.
And also, like, 2 weeks ago.
And we stood there awkwardly in silence for a bit before Tyson gestured towards the vault door.
So, it's pretty messed up, huh?
We don't need small talk right now. We can please just exit this scene. I'm begging this game. Please just let us leave. Please let this scene be over. We do not need to. We don't need this game.
What? The vault?
Yeah. Thing's been messing with Dave the whole vacation, and now we don't know if we're even getting home.
You will. You all will. As long as there's just precautions taken. Dave's been too busy trying to save us. It's time someone stepped in and actively tried to save him rather than, well...
Rather than what? Him dying.
Trying to keep him out of the way.
I don't think I get it,
but that's what you just advocated for. What?
I'm for actively doing something. No, you're not. No one is. You can't say that in this narrative.
Like, rather than just trying to keep him out of the way, by the way, can you please just keep Dave out of the way for a minute? Like, what?
Just actually try and get back, yeah? Dave's gonna be upset if you don't even try. How would you know the difference?
Don't worry, I want to come back.
Well, we don't always get what we want, because I don't want you to come back.
What?
It seemed to satisfy Tyson, and he left to continue working out for a bit. The plan was to go drag Dave away from Orlando to keep him occupied, which was exactly what we needed. Hopefully it was enough.
The mission was to distract Dave and keep him from following me into the woods. So he went to the gym to work out.
But that left me there, standing in front of the vault with my thoughts. What was I going to do? Would the plan actually work if I left Oswin later?
I don't know if you can call it a plan if it's preceded by what am I going to do.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. Nothing worse than a sneeze that doesn't happen.
The more I thought about it, I ran the possible scenarios in my head. Oswin would leave, get caught up at the other end as collateral. I'd maybe return, and then if I did, everyone would get out. If I didn't, and Memphis torched the place, at least everyone would attempt the main road. They wouldn't be caught up with it, not potentially working with the lie Thanatos passed on that it would.
That was a hard sentence
Yeah,
to follow.
yeah. I read that out loud, and then like I was just about to say, like, sometimes I read the text and it comes out of my mouth, and then my brain catches up with what it's saying, and it just is nonsense. It's like having a stroke live on video.
They wouldn't be caught up with it not potentially working with the lie Thanatos passed on that it would.
Okay, I mean, what?
If I was
I
a
don't know.
teacher, I would underline this.
Yeah.
I returned to my room to wait out the rest of the day. Door slightly cracked so I could hear the activity in the house. Tyson came and collected Dave at some point and dragged him off somewhere. Orlando paced around the floor nervous, not that I could blame him. Thanatos was scarce, keeping himself busy with something or held up somewhere. I couldn't tell. But the hours started to tick by with nothing happening. My own thoughts half drowning my perception of what was around me.
Hey.
I looked up, and there he was, without Tyson.
Good plan.
Hey,
Wait. Okay.
what's up?
Nothing much, just taking a break from Tyson. He's been a bit,
Overbearing?
a little. He does this sometimes when he's worried about something, or hiding something, or both.
Any idea what?
I have some ideas, but if I'm being honest, it's kind of nice. Makes me feel normal that everyone else is stressed
Why?
out.
Why are we having small talk right now? Why does this matter? Why did this scene have to happen if the explicit point was that Dave was being taken off by Tyson and now is out of our hair? Like, what does this scene communicate? Because so far, all it's communicated is that Dave is happy, and there needs to be exposition about Tyson here.
That's not something to be happy about, Dave. Or, well, I guess you're not happy, just relieved, probably.
I think this is one of the poses his dad did.
Maybe. I don't really look at the screen. I look at the text box. Like, I don't.
I think they're doing a thing by calling back to his dad's sprite.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was up to me and if you could decide what the Discord window showed, I would ask you to just show the text box. That's all I need, because I have completely checked out of everything else.
I don't understand you. Yeah, it's closer to that. It was bad enough seeing Orlando stressed out, passing him on the way here, and he was struggling.
Did he say something?
Tried to check in, but he just sort of made a sound.
What kind of sound?
Like a distressed gay sound, you know, an Orlando sound. Is Orlando
like,
known for being the most flamboyant character?
Yes, he is.
We've asked this a few times, so at this point that must mean that he was, but it felt like it didn't come up for the first 100 hours.
Yeah. I think as well, this is like, I don't know, I have things to think about. I just am sitting here like paying attention to this, and it's like
Orlando needs more like Neferu sprites to sell how flamboyant he is. He can't just be standing stock with no affectation to his voice and no like poses or anything to convey what we're how we're supposed to think that ever.
I think that's fine. I think the bigger issue here is that, like, how do I explain this? Like, I don't know. This scene is trying to be quirky and funny, and that's the only reason why it exists so far. Is like, you know, Orlando. He's doing distressed gay stuff the audience is gonna love this. Like, it's just like, it's so stupid. Why are we having this conversation right now?
An Orlando sound.
That doesn't really narrow it down.
You know, like that pitiful whine that I made sometimes, but more, you know, like a gay dragon.
I was floored, choosing instead to stare with a worried smile.
Yeah.
Describing
I'm
your
floored by
own
how much time this is wasting of my life.
Describing your own pitiful whine is weird too.
Yes.
Anyway, how are you doing?
Fine, for the most part anyway, considering what's going to happen.
So, about that, I wanted to ask you something.
What is it?
I wanted to come too.
No.
But I have a good reason.
What possible reason could you have that would justify putting yourself in danger? Besides, the deal was just for one person to be collateral.
Roswell, well, why don't you just tell him?
You want to know what's crazy?
Everyone knows
is
about the
that
vault. You could just say, hey, you die when you go.
You want to know what's super crazy as well? Is that we just had a scene setting up that Tyson was supposed to take Dave so that he wasn't
Yep, and now
gonna
we're just,
waffle
and we're
about
just
this.
now just arguing with Dave about it anyway.
Yeah. And he did. The crazy thing is, in between these two scenes, the text literally said Tyson dragged Dave away and distracted him.
Yeah,
And
some
yet
amount of
now
time
the
skip
game-
happened.
But even with a time skip, structurally speaking, we went, how do we make
it's
Dave
literally the
not a
next
problem?
scene.
Yeah, how do we make Dave not a problem? We make Dave not a problem. Dave is now a problem again. So like, okay, well, just delete all of this then. Why is this here at all?
I don't see why Roswell can't just tell him that he's gonna die if he goes, and he saw it in the vault, which is a thing that they all know about and have a shared experience with, and that makes it much less arguable. It seems straightforward. He won't consider letting two people come to report back just in case? I don't fucking know, man. What do you mean? Why would we know what Memphis would do?
There's no reason why he'd do that, Dave. Besides, there's no guarantee that he's even gonna tell me where it is.
So that's just it? We're back to waiting? Oh, you look so broken up about that, Dave, on day 23.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I could tell by his tone that he was planning something. But something felt off somehow.
This is stranger and more frustrating because Dave wasn't even planning on going before. He got talked into it by, he got talked into going by Oz at the last minute, who himself weirdly blackmailed him with the idea that he'd get some kind of information if he came, but only if he came, because he can't sit near Thanatos, but then he didn't tell him anything.
Yeah.
Are you feeling okay? Like, everything going all right?
Peachy.
You don't sound fine.
Did the text box not change color there? Or was that Discord being weird? Oh, no, it did.
It's all
Okay.
fine.
You don't sound fine.
I promise, I'm fine. Aside from the stress of today and looking forward to getting home and looking forward to getting home making me a bit all over the place. Sure. I'm holding up better than Orlando, at least.
Okay. Not that I believed him for a moment, but it was better than trying to probe information out of someone based on a hunch alone.
Yeah, well, I'll let you get back to waiting. If anything happens, I'll be around, I guess. Doing nothing.
I just cannot understand what this scene communicated or was meant to tell us about anything or why it happened to begin with.
He left.
Yeah. It hurts, you know, it just is a real struggle.
It's just all
He
based
left.
entirely around, like, this scene exists for the same reason this last scene exists, which is that Dave died going in the woods, so now the story is about stopping Dave from going in the woods. Never mind if it clashes with Dave's motivation in the previous scene, and never mind if it depends entirely on not just giving him basic information you have. We now have to have multiple scenes that are all about stopping Dave from going in the woods, because that's the time travel thing you do, is you stop the thing that happened in the other timeline, but as clumsily and as slowly as possible in the case of Password.
It's just weird because it's like we have a scene where it's like, I locked the door with a key. Now we know the door is locked. I left the room that I locked from the only open door. Then I walked back into the room to check that I had locked the door. The door is locked. Wow, the door is locked and it is not open.
Oops, then I left through the door I locked. I guess it's not locked anymore.
It's just like, why do you have 3 scenes in a row that communicate the same information? Like, we had a scene, like, it's just weird that Grizz wrote a scene so we didn't need to have this scene and then had this scene anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that scene required... So we have to convince Dave not to go in the woods even though he doesn't want to go in the woods, and we have to convince Tyson to save Dave, to protect Dave, even though he already wants to protect Dave.
Yes.
So everyone has to weirdly... So that magically Tyson and Dave have to then take the opposing stance. So they just change motivation mid-story, and now want the opposite of what Roswell wants, even though otherwise they would already agree, because they do already agree. It's a lot.
He left, leaving the door open as he rounded the corner. Almost immediately, I heard Tyson yelling at him and Dave barking back. Apparently, Tyson had taken my request to heart and he was making a big deal about Dave disappearing on him. If it wasn't for his own good, I might have felt bad. When everything had settled down...
About what?
I don't know, man.
I don't even know.
When everything had settled down, I headed downstairs to see how things were going. I could see the front door open with Haas keeping watch. Out the back, there was still Dean.
Just, I would feel bad otherwise, because I made it so Tyson's keeping an eye on Dave in this life or death situation that everyone involved knows is life and death, and even Dave himself said is kind of nice. So he's in turmoil.
It hurts.
Huh?
As I opened the back door, Dean turned to face me.
Oh, hey Roswell. Nothing's happened yet. Just waiting still.
That's all right. He'll show up.
I hope so. The waiting's starting to get to us. Me too. Haas is taking watch by the front door just in case. Standing around together didn't really get us anywhere. That's what standing around does.
Yeah,
nowhere.
Don't do this shit to me, video game. I swear to Christ.
Nothing to talk about?
That's part of it.
Well, I'm happy to watch for a bit if you wanted to get a snack or something. Unless someone else has relieved you already.
I'll relieve you right now. Honestly, that'd be great. My tummy has the rumblings only hands can satisfy. My tummy has been rumbling for a while, so just a quick snack would be great. You don't mind watching, do you?
Unless you're planning on ditching me here for hours, I think I can wait for you to make a sandwich or something without it being a problem.
Great. I won't be long, I promise. Just something to refuel and I'll be good to go. Oh, but if anything happens, just yell.
Then he hurried along inside as I turned to face the woods. Then he hurried along. Oh, no Dominic yet, but he was out there somewhere. I looked over my shoulder at the house, thinking about Dave, thinking about Oswin, thinking about everything that I'd done and tried to prevent happening only for us to end up here. Thanatos' words from earlier echoed in my head. As my eyes drifted to the forest, I thought about it. A gamble. Everything hinged on it being a gamble that I would win regardless. Thus, not a gamble.
It hurt.
If I lost, if there were contingencies, so it really wasn't all that much of a risk on my end. Exactly what I just said. Not a gamble.
I'm amused by the idea of him staring into the woods and thinking about everything that brought him to this point, and then thinking like, Ah, that's pretty boring.
Yeah.
My life flashed before my eyes. It was disappointing. It also just feels weird to be like reassuring us that like, don't worry about it. Stakes are low. Even if this fails, they'll be fine. Like, okay, wow. I'm really excited right now.
At least not when you consider infinite permutations. But as I found myself stepping off the steps onto the grass and taking one look behind me at the mansion, there was still a moment of hesitation as to if I should stay or if I risked it.
That's not grammar.
But I had to risk it. The longer I left it, the more chances I gave Dave to try and weasel in on coming along later. And I already knew he was planning something.
Doesn't make any sense. Dave like explicitly doesn't do that in like any timeline except for the one where they like already have disappeared for like 2 days straight and he's desperate. But then like but two, like even if they leave, Dave can still try to follow them. So
Yeah.
like, which is what he does in the other timeline. So it's not like, oh, I better get out of here before Dave tries to leave. Like the door is going to be like, oh, population 1, it locks when somebody walks through it.
I think I'm tired.
The sun had begun to set, so things were only going to get darker the longer I was out there. No Thanatos, no map or flashlight. It was just me and my luck. I must have moved quick, as I didn't hear anyone calling from me back at the house.
Calling from me back at the house.
Calling for me?
For me back at the house.
Or calling for me from the... Anyway.
Maybe they hadn't realized I'd slipped away, though I was surprised by Dean's lack of concern with me not where he left me.
Why are you moving right now? I don't understand.
Yeah, I thought his plan was to leave with Oz, but without Dave.
And
now he's just taking
also,
off without Oz, I guess?
he did literally just voluntarily go up to Dean and say, "Hey, Dean, what's up?" And Dean said, "I'm kind of hungry." And Roswell went, "Okay, I'll leave. I'll stand watch for you."
Yeah.
And then he just left.
Does he think enough time has passed that he thinks Dean's going to be done with his meal?
I don't. Or why is he being sneaky? Because everyone already agreed to him leaving as is, and this will only cause more alarm that will make people look for him.
And I don't know why he's thinking the way he's thinking. Like, in what situation would Dean be done eating whatever he went off to eat, but Roswell still within earshot to hear him? Like, why would he expect to hear Dean? He should be so far away by the time Dean finishes eating, if that's the whole point. This is a classic, like, distract the guard and then take off the moment they look away thing, but...
Yeah.
So that unless he's going really slowly, he wouldn't be able to hear Dean anyway.
I don't know, man.
If it wasn't too late, though I'd have a hard time explaining my rationale for why I left in the first place.
I wonder if that just means what you're doing doesn't make sense.
Who?
Big possibility there.
Is this?
Florencia.
That seems right.
Her name's Blue, isn't it? I think it is in the text.
So. Then don't. It's not that hard.
Their voice sent chills up my spine, though I could tell they were just in my head. I've got to keep moving. I just have to be lucky and run into Dominic. Solve all of this long before it can become a problem. Then everyone stays safe.
That's flawed logic, Roswell.
I know it's flawed, but what choice do I have?
Okay, never mind. It's someone entirely different that I refuse to voice act. It's Javier. It's corrupted Javier from Cape Escape Season 2.
It's another rat that...
Just kidding.
May or may not be a Thanatos.
Hypnos, maybe?
The original Hypnos or something?
This is Roswell's OC.
Roswell's OC.
This is a Sonic the Hedgehog OC. Dark Steel the Hedgehog.
What voice have I not used yet? Shit.
Now it's time for your Joker impression.
I already did. That's what Jack's voice is.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Jack comes off as weirdly flamboyant to me, but I guess that makes sense.
That's what Joker is.
No,
Joker is extremely queer coded.
Sure,
I give you another Joker voice.
I meant like a Heath Ledger Joker impression.
Yeah, I can do that.
I mean, you don't need to. You can do whatever you want. I was making a joke about my Thanatos.
Yeah, I think when you
fry.
say Joker, I still think Mark Hamill.
Sure.
You always have a choice. There's always a choice, but you're struggling to comprehend the weight of your actions and the sins clinging to your back.
This veers closer to Beetlejuice, but I appreciate it. It's fine. This is the same divide that I ran into earlier. It's like the Beetlejuice Heath Ledger Joker divide is like it's very
the problem with Heath Ledger
camp versions of each other.
The problem with Heath Ledger Joker voices is that he's never really. Impressions never involve exposition.
Yes, exactly.
Having to sustain it for like entire sentences straight, you're like,
it's
you ever wonder how I got these scars?
My eyes narrowed and I rubbed my eyes to see if I was hallucinating. Nothing. It really was nothing. Okay. Bracing myself against a tree, I breathed out, squinting in the dark to see if there was anything I could go off of. My eyes weren't the best. My ears could hear water somewhere nearby, but the only scent I could get was loamy soil and mushrooms.
Can't believe the game's introducing a character this late.
Dominic? A cautious whisper, in hopes he'd find me instead of the other way around, but to no avail.
Dominic is so much harder to yell than Dom. Just enough. Oh, it's a whisper anyway. Whatever. Why would that accomplish anything? Ooh. It's daylight now.
After more walking, I came across a familiar sight, wandering over to an overturned log and sitting down.
You know, this is where you made a big choice that influenced how things turned out.
I know.
You put yourself closer to death, or more trauma to try and save your friends.
I just feel like it's not. I feel like this. If I get caught up on this, I'm gonna die. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna kill me, so I'm not going to.
I think Dave's method was better, if curated by Thanatos.
Perhaps. Though, do you regret it?
Despite hallucinating a god of death, it was the correct call.
You've got a Ryuk? You're hallucinating a Ryuk ever since you took the fungus viral thing?
Who's saying you're hallucinating?
Me. Given you look like some sort of mashup between a video game character Orlando told me about and some abstraction depicted by Dave.
Dave, the artist who arts. We've never seen him draw anything, but...
I clutched my head. Was I losing it? Was this a sign I was right on the cusp of actually dying?
No, because you said you hallucinated him all the way back then, so...
The sounds around me were off somehow. Quieter. Turning to look around, I saw a large figure moving about the trees heading towards me. Hey, Dominic. He raised his eyebrows, eyes flicking over to the direction the house was in.
Well, this is unexpected.
Don't worry about it. I just figured I'd come out instead of waiting for you to come back to the house.
The idea was for us when not his kid.
Nephew.
That's worse.
No kidding.
So I can be collateral enough, I guess. Just I wanted to make sure no one else was going to go in my stead.
What? That wasn't a comeback.
No,
your answer was that you're somebody who's even less collateral than his kid. And his point was that the deal was for Oswin, not his kid. So, how did you just fucking repost that?
Don't think the boss is gonna like being shortchanged at who's he after. Plus, who am I showing the route off the mountain to?
So me, I'll just use my psychic powers or something.
Pigs have those.
I'm hoping I do. You never know.
He doesn't have a plan.
I'm heading to the mansion. Don't need the boss on my case for screwing this up.
He turned to leave and I jumped up, grabbing at the fur on his wrist despite not finding a good purchase on it to stop him properly. Please just take me, no one else.
Give me one good reason.
I had to think fast. There had to be something I could offer that made things easier for him. He was all about the easy jobs. Hostage!
Go on.
No doubt Memphis is going to try and play this exchange as some sort of, I don't know, insurance. He gets what he wants, right? But what's stopping Oswin from refusing to cooperate once we leave? I could see the gears turning in his head, thinking it over. So you take me, then go get the others to the exit, then trade me for Oswin when it's over.
At which point he will proceed to not do anything once everyone leaves. The thing I just said you're afraid of happening.
Also, what Roswell is explaining right now is literally the exact thing that has happened in every other route.
Yeah.
Like the idea of this not being a hostage exchange currently is absurd to everyone. Because it's always been a hostage exchange.
Yeah, he's talking like he just came up with the idea. That is one of the most thoroughly established things about the story so far. Like, to the point where the game
he was literally
does
referring
nothing.
to himself
like
earlier.
Day 22 does nothing but reestablish this plot point all day.
I mean,
and
he was
then
literally
nothing.
just referring to himself as collateral. What do you think a hostage is?
Yeah. It makes no sense.
I think...
It's also, why would you trade him for Oswin? That suggests that you get to go. Like, no.
Yeah.
If anything, you're both hostages, and then they torture you to get Oswin to do what they want.
I think it would be cool if this was over.
Yup.
You know? Like, it would be neat. There would be, like, a lot going on in my life that wasn't Password if we didn't have to read Password.
Yup. Looking forward to the next No Way Home update.
I think the boss would like that. Oh, it is supposed to happen this month, according to Ka.
Yep.
I think the boss would like that, and a chance to hold something over someone else he usually takes.
His expression went darker comparatively to his normal gruff facade, reaching back and flashing that he was armed.
Any fun of business known as getting used. Yes, that is the point of a hostage.
Uh-huh.
Why are you all communicating like this? You guys are insane people.
Completely understandable. Good sir.
Milady?
Enthusiastic hostage.
For good measure, I flashed him a thumbs up and a smile. Though the moment he turned and started to guide me away from the house, I inwardly groaned. Surely I wasn't becoming more like Dave, was I?
Was that Dave-like behavior? Was that supposed to remind us of Dave? I don't understand.
I've been reading books lately because I'm internet sick and am trying to not like use the internet a lot because I'm poisoned by everyone's really terrible takes all the time and like just a bad state of internet media. And it's just alarming to read an actual book and have like writing that is good and prose that is good and like plot that isn't this. I'm not even going to say what books I'm reading. It's just not this.
We continued on in the dark, silent. After all, we didn't have anything more to say to one another. It was just A business transaction. In the corner of my eye, I could see my hallucination flick in and out of existence between the trees, watching me carefully every time I felt my chest tighten. Was it a heart attack? Tiredness? How exactly was I going to end up going? Part of me hoped it was peacefully in my sleep, but now just thinking about it scared me. Would I just go to sleep one night blissfully unaware and just never wake up? Would I make plans for the day after and then that was it? Was I roused from my thoughts with my hallucination trying to wave me down, and I slowed my pace to follow the direction he was pointing, somewhere in the opposite direction we were headed, toward the darkness.
Roswell, where are you? Good strategy, you did it.
Here are multiple scenes of why we're going to get Dave out of the way. We got Dave out of the way. Here's another scene confirming we got Dave out of the way. Don't worry, Dave's not a problem. Roswell, where are you? Okay, well, I guess just the plot of this game sucks.
My heart sank, and Dom wandered back the few steps to stand behind me. One of his hands found my shoulder and dug in painfully tight.
Roswell, come back.
What are you playing at?
Nothing, I swear.
What kind of dumbass comes this far out in the woods at this time of night?
Someone with a death wish, obviously.
Not what you're hoping for? We're going to do us a favor and kill you?
I was hoping we could make good on our deal from earlier. Whatever he's doing is just idiotic. Just ignore him, let's keep going.
And risk leading him to who knows who else to write. And risk leading him and who knows who else to right where you want to go. No chance, not taking a risk.
So what are you planning on doing? He pulled out his gun and spun me to face towards where I'd originally turned to look for Dave. The metal of his gun at the back of my head, hand still tight on my shoulder.
Tyson had one job.
March.
We started walking. Every now and again, Dave would call out, and we could tell that he was getting closer. Or maybe we were just getting closer to him. Each step we took was quiet. Dom must have been listening out for anyone else out here.
Roswell.
He turned to face us as we stepped into view, and despite me being held at gunpoint, he seemed calmer than I expected him to be.
I don't remember. Did this actually happen in the last route?
No.
Like the Dave part of it? I didn't think so.
No. Because, yeah, no.
Okay.
Because last time we just went with Oz on our own.
Yeah.
And then the route before that, Oz and Roswell go first, and then Dave go. No, and then Dean goes.
Yeah,
and
Oz
then
was
Tyson
there.
goes.
Yep.
So, oh, you're right. Roz wasn't there.
Yeah, I remember.
Was it
I
just
remember
Roswell on his own? Because Oz was dead in Route B.
Oh, in Route B, yes, but in
So I think it was.
I'm just talking about.
I think in Route B, I think it was just Roswell, and then Dean separately, and then Tyson separately, and then Dave went separately to look for Tyson and got knocked out by Dom and woke up in the cabin with Tyson.
Specifically, what I was asking about is like this. So the whole premise of this day 23 asterisk was that we're like going back to see Roswell's perspective of like what would have happened, and I couldn't tell if things were matching up with.
No, they immediately don't match up at all.
Yeah, and they immediately don't match up. And here, especially, they don't match up because it's Oswin and Dave that got caught in that previous day 23 that we saw in the past. So this is so I don't understand why this is day 23 asterisk and how we're on a completely separate path now. Like, what was the point? Maybe we should have just like let us actually switch to Roswell. I'm not saying I want to play Roswell the whole game, but the premise of it being like, and here is the other side of events that you didn't see is weird because they already aren't matching up anyway.
Yeah, because Roswell just, well, it's not that necessarily it was established that would be the premise, but Roswell is immediately changing things. So that,
it just
mainly
rewound.
That means that it was really pointless to essentially replay entire scenes to the extent they did, because they were just wasting our time because it wasn't an alternate perspective of previous events.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Changing things.
is the only logic of them showing us that, and the fact that it rewound and put like day 23 asterisk is this idea of like we're seeing the same thing from a different perspective, but that's not what's happening at all. It's just literally a different route.
Which wasn't necessarily what they were going for either, but it definitely is why all of last episode was a waste of time.
Yes.
Because that's when they, in excruciating detail, were spending way too much time as Roswell doing really tedious scenes for some reason, as if they had to replay the day in real time. But I'm like, what's the point? He is just going to immediately divert, because that's the whole point, is to use the information to change something. So why are we replaying entire tedious conversations? And now this is happening. Let him go.
Now why would I go ahead and do that? Beat it, kid. You're not supposed to be out of here.
You were meant to come back to the house. Instead, you kidnapped Roswell.
Dave, go back to the house. Everything's going to be fine, I promise.
I don't believe you. Everything has been off today. I don't know what it is, but ever since I woke up this morning, ever since...
As if on cue, he started to space out, thinking about something.
As if on cue?
Dave, I'm not kidding around. This guy has a gun pointed at the back of my head, and I'd really like it if you just went back to the house and just stayed safe, please.
I can't do that. I can't say I have a backup or a plan, or really any way of knowing which way back to the house is, but...
In some poor attempt at seeming bigger than he actually was, he puffed out his chest and breathed in deep.
I'm not scared of you, or Memphis. Factually untrue.
I felt a shift from the back of my head, the tip of Tom's gun. I knew exactly where it was going, and I had to stop it. Dave had to live, otherwise everything would have been for nothing. Dave, run! But he didn't move, even with the gun trained on him.
That's strange, kid.
But he still didn't move. I had no idea why Dave was being stubborn, but he was. And it was going to get him killed.
Not without Roswell.
Digging in deep, I growled and yelled out, yanking myself free of Dom's grip and going for the gun.
Whoop. Gunshot. Are you doing okay? Huh? What do you mean? You just kinda trailed off there in your... whatever you're calling this? Huh. Sorry, I guess things are just still piecing together in my head. So, does that mean that's the end? No, there's still more. Let's see. I think... Oh, I remember now. Well, alright, just... We need to stop. Let me know, alright? No, this part's important, I promise. Uh-huh.
I think that...
We're back in Tyson's route.
Thank God.
The color's Tyson colored again.
Thank God. Now I can not do the voices. Thank God.
What were you gonna say?
Nothing. I wasn't gonna say anything.
Well, I took that moment to take a drink strategically, and it failed.
It sure did.
As I opened my eyes, I found myself tucked into my bed. A light slap on my face confirmed I was awake properly now, and I carefully sat up to get an idea of what had happened. Not that there was anything to go off of. I was in bed. Everything was as I left it. Someone must have brought me here after finding me passed out in the rec room. I checked my phone to see what the time was. I had somehow slept the day away, and it was now morning again. With a groan, I rolled out of bed and wondered if there was a way to stop myself from sleeping in too much. But as I sat up, the world around me shifted. Memories started to flood back to me while my eyes were even open. Clutching my head, I wondered if it was something Thanatos was doing to me, if I was just falling sick. Oh, it's supposed to be or if I was just falling sick with something. What it says of is I was. Roswell was, and did I? What happened? In a daze, I put on clothes. Something in the back of my mind telling me that I wasn't meant to put on the orange hoodie, or maybe because I knew I wasn't going to anyway. It's continuity. Mickey can't wear a shirt behind the door. When the door opens, Mickey has to not be wearing a shirt, so Dave can't be wearing his hoodie. I think that means it's 23 then. This should be more interesting than it is. Like,
yeah, sure.
Cutting to Roswell changing the deal, trying to plead with Dom, then Dave shows up anyway, gunshot, fade to black, now you're Dave. That all has to happen, like, in 10 minutes, though, is the thing, not 3 hours. Like, it just, the time, I can't even really tell you what happened in the last 3 hours of the game. That was Roswell, but like that, this kind of disorienting stuff is like the kind of shit that even I might try to pull when given the chance. But like, you gotta keep it moving. On autopilot, I made my way downstairs. I was quiet. It was quiet, hinting that I was the only one up. I could think of the memory of the fire only vaguely in favor of what I was thinking of. What? Roswell was in the woods with Dominic? Roswell. I sharply turned my head towards the corridor, heading towards the basement, and found myself hurrying over.
Dave!
Roswell. I didn't need to look for Thanatos. I knew he wouldn't be there already, somehow. I stepped back so he wasn't standing just at the top of the stairs, and he followed me out to the foyer properly. You're looking better than you did yesterday. Did the thing Oswin give you help? Something told me that was the right thing to say. Something vague about Roswell having been drugged with something while I was still unconscious. I had no way of knowing it, but Roswell's expression told me I was right. Why is it a day question mark when we know exactly what day it is? Even Dave knows when this is. He's not disoriented.
How did you?
Just give me a sec to figure something out. I sat down on the stairs and tried to figure out what was wrong, what was happening to me. This was all familiar, some sort of strange deja vu experience, but way more vivid. I could remember this conversation. I could remember what else happened today. Dominic's coming today, right?
Yes.
Okay, and where's Thanatos?
Beats me?
My eyes narrowed on him slightly, my grasp on how this conversation was meant to go slipping. Defenestration. He needs to be thrown out a window. It's like they pulled out a $5 word just so that they could reference this scene over and over again and be like, it's the defenestration scene.
Yep.
Roswell went to say something, but looked stunned instead, awkwardly standing there instead of sitting down. Hey, can I ask you a favor for today?
Depends on the favor.
Orlando's probably going to be a mess today, you know, with everything going on. If it's no trouble, would you be able to keep tabs on him for me?
I was gonna,
Ask me to do it, right?
Dave, what's going on? Something's not right about this.
You tell me. I don't know.
Did something happen?
Again, you tell me. I don't know. I just remember things. I got up suddenly, thinking it over. Make it 2 favors. Get the coffee going, please. I just need to check something real quick. I was gone before he got his retort out, heading downstairs 2 at a time. Between the secret passage and going to the vault, I started to go towards one before settling on the other. Why would you say that sentence that way? The passage opened for me fine enough. Something telling me that this was the right way to go. Or maybe it was just that I was being wary of Thanatos for the time being. I've been... Why does Dave never know what his own thoughts are? I've been down this way before, so it was just... I had to find the right door. As I opened the door of the lab, I slumped forward in the doorway, looking around in the dim light. Back already? As he looked up from what he was doing, what little smile he had faded immediately, replaced with something else. Dave, what are you doing here? I closed the door behind me, checking that it was closed all the way before stumbling over. My eyes were trained on his pocket, a slight frown on my face. We need to talk. About? Roswell. Pardon? I dropped myself into my chair beside him and tried to gather my thoughts. So, today, you were going into the woods with Roswell, right? That was the plan? It is. Why? It's a terrible idea. Excuse me? Where's this coming from? He'll die, Oswin. Based on what exactly? Vault vision? With a huff, he breathed through his nose and turned to his computer, tapping away at the keyboard before shaking his head. Nothing has been recorded for today, or expunged from the record. Though I suppose that's moot when the circumstances were where it would have been coded in might not exist in this iteration. I can prove it. Go on, then. The thing in your pocket. You're going to give it to Roswell when he went to the woods. It's a photo of him and his parents. He pulled the envelope from his pocket and placed it carefully on the desk, saying nothing. I love you. That's what it says on the back. The message you wanted to pass on to Roswell. How? I don't know, I just do. Thanatos? I shrugged, shaking my head. I woke up like this morning. Something felt off. I could tell Roswell was going to be watching me in the foyer. I have vague memories about being injured and seeing that photo. I have memories of watching Roswell get shot in the middle of the woods. Well, Dave? Where do we go from here? I want the truth. I want the truth from you, in person, as to what's going on. What do you think is going on? You and Roswell are related. He's your nephew? It means he's been here before, in other words. Without a word, he got up, wandered over to the laboratory door and made sure it was closed before locking it from the inside. Then, just as quietly, he wandered over the side room and looked around, making sure it was empty. What are you doing? Making sure a certain rat isn't around. He continued to search, and only once he was satisfied he sat back down. No Thanatos? Correct. No Thanatos. So, before I say anything more, I need you to swear to me that what I tell you does not leave this room. Act upon it if you so wish, but in no way can this information be relayed in any form outside of this room. And if I don't want to promise that, then get out. Those are my terms. Alright, I promise. Swear it on your father. May he rest in peace. I swear. The tension faded immediately and he breathed out, rubbing the bridge of his nose. You're wrong, you know. About? I'm not Roswell's uncle. And that's the truth?
What?
I swear it upon the life of the son that doesn't know the truth. But that... Huh. What? I just remembered something Haas said when you made yourself known that first time. Ah, yes, that. But Roswell really doesn't know? To be frank, if he's come to that conclusion on his own, he's yet to raise it. His mother and I decided it was best to skirt around the issue. But why? If what I remember of that picture is correct, then how could he not know? Roswell was born the day my brother died, and the medical trial went awry. As you can imagine, the tragedy of what happened left me in no state to raise a child, so the lie we told Roswell was that his father was no longer around. But you are, though? The same man that desired a family, that wanted to be a better father than the one he had, was no longer in a position to raise him. But that was in the past, though. And in the time it took me to recover, he was already properly settled and calling another man his father. I have no right to take that away from him. That's so sad, though. You make sacrifices for the ones you love, Dave. You, more than anyone, should know that. He deflated in his chair, looking me over. What other wisdom have you gleaned from this memory of yours? If Roswell has been before, why lie about it? Come now, Dave, you know the answer to that. Yes, but I don't want to believe it. Then what would you believe? That this is all just happening by chance? No, but it's still something that's a lot to take in before coffee. That makes two of us. So if Roswell has been here before, he's Thanatos' master, right? Well, it's certainly not myself or Benson.
Imagine if you could just ask that question exactly with that wording in the moment where you're allowed to ask Oswin things.
Just in full format.
Because, like, the whole, like, who is Thanatos' master mystery, just, like, fundamentally from the outset, like, is just, like, so paper thin that it is insane that characters have to manufacture a reason to not just give Dave the minor information he needs to figure out exactly who it obviously is.
I mean, nothing about Roswell works really. It's obvious he's immediately dying. It's obvious that he's immediately, like, definitely this guy's son. Yeah. To the point where we just called out it was his son, and then the game has to almost make it a twist that, oh no, he's actually this other guy's son. Just kidding, it was his son. We lied. We lied. It was a lie. It's all a lie. And this is the biggest secret in his life that he has to keep from Thanatos. Because I guess if Thanatos knows, then Roswell knows. But even he's like, if Roswell's figured it out, then he hasn't told anyone, then he hasn't raised it. That's like, even you think Roswell might figure it out on his own, so it's not that big of a fucking secret then. It's just such pointless artifice, then it caused the entire other bad end where Dave died last time. Yeah. All right.
I think about this game and, like, all the things that happen in it, and I just think about how much better it is when you read all the characters in a scene and I can get up and pee. So that's what's gonna happen.
Thanos is gonna show up right now. All right, any idea where he is now? What are you planning on doing? I just want to tell him what I remember. See what he thinks. If this is the first time I've remembered, or, like, you know. Please be more careful what you share to him. If he relays what I told you to Roswell, what relationship I have with my son, as fragile as it is, could be ruined forever. Don't worry, I swore on it, remember? I trust you, Dave. Just be careful. If I had to guess, check Roswell's room, though try not to be too long. I'll be back. We still need to figure out what the plan for later is. I just need to get my facts straight. I left the lab and entered the basement again. Roswell had a lot to explain, but without understanding what was happening to myself, first, there wouldn't have been much of a point. I eased the door open to Roswell's room. It seemed everyone else was preoccupied with one thing or another, that I was able to make the journey there unnoticed. Some were having breakfast, others were milling about just outside the back door. I was too distracted to really take notice of specifically who was where, though. Thanatos was sitting on Roswell's bed, unmoving. No sign of Roswell, either. Carefully, I wandered closer and reached out for him.
A snack, and
wow.
I could have eaten the worst possible recording food of all time, which is Triscuits and little slices of cheddar cheese. Just think about how gunked up my voice would be and how loud the snacking would be. Probably be better than listening to my Roswell voice, all things considered.
No. Carefully,
an ASMR playthrough now.
No one likes that.
Everyone likes it.
No one has ever liked that. Carefully, I wandered closer and reached out for him, stopping just short before I heard him make a sound similar to a groan.
Ugh, this is boring.
He's just randomly not doing his voice, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's not caps. Lazily, he turned to me and we locked eyes. Maybe he was expecting Roswell, maybe he was just dazed in a way only a robot could.
What are you doing here?
That's Sal.
Whatever.
Why'd your voice change?
This is how I normally sound.
So I have a couple questions.
Sorry, I'm busy. You'll have to come back later.
I know Roswell's your master. He did a double take,
Wow.
looking past me at the closed door of the bedroom.
We're so shocked.
Nuh-uh.
He's not my master. Well, you're being crazy right now. What?
Who told you though? He is. Oswin confirmed it. But there's more important things I want to ask. So can we not play around with trying to trick me into wondering if Oswin is lying?
Now, why would I do that?
Why would you change how you sounded once you realized that it was me in the room with you?
Yeah, I told you. This is how I normally sound.
People are dying. It's not the time for bits. What's everyone?
This is
why is
so
everyone
stupid.
why is the dialogue so busy being quirky now, in the not slice of life part of the game? I rolled my eyes, sitting down on Roswell's bed. So, question 1: did you force me to have a vision last night?
No.
All right. Question 2: do you know what's supposed to happen today?
Yes, Dominic will come later and collect Oswin, and
That's what I want to know. Who goes? I have conflicting memories.
conflicting how? Actually, better question. What do you mean by memories? This happened before.
Yeah, it's strange. Like, today's already happened before. Vague memories about how things are meant to go, but now it's different.
How different?
Well, I came downstairs and knew Roswell was spying on me. I knew he was going to ask me to hang out with Orlando today, but instead I asked him to do it first.
Interesting.
That's not what you said in the Roswell scene. So we have a problem. I have vague memories about me going into the woods tonight. It's all kind of jumbled up, but I remember parts.
What parts?
I remember the walk out in the woods with Oswin. I remember maybe leaving.
Anything useful?
I also remember a situation where I ran into Roswell and Dominic in the woods. Roswell's held at gunpoint and his
Shot?
Yeah. Thanatos started to pace as if he was thinking about something.
Give me 5 minutes.
He sat down and became very still, almost like he was when I entered the room. Then after what seemed like to be 5 minutes, he stood back up.
I don't understand.
What exactly don't you understand?
Your memory checks out. 2 iterations ago, you went out with Oswin into the woods and returned dead, carried in Tyson's arms. Hiccup.
He's dying.
The iteration after that, I relayed that information to Roswell, and for some dumb reason, he went out instead.
And then got killed.
Pretty much.
No, literally did. So if me going out results in my death and Roswell going out results in his, then what options do we have?
Honestly, we could have another go at sending Roswell out. His problem was that he went out after you started acting funny, thinking you'd follow. Which you did.
Did I say why?
Nope. Though if I had to guess, it'd be your thing where you want to save everyone.
They're my friends.
Yeah, Mr. Hero Complex, we heard you.
So, what happens now?
Yeah, beats me.
Tell me something, and be honest. Roswell, this whole time, has been behind everything going on, right? To try and,
Yeah, keep you alive.
But why? Why me specifically?
Nah, it's not something I should answer.
I stood up and went to the door, leaving Thanatos on the bed.
Oi, where are you going?
You stay here. I need to talk to Roswell. Suddenly, Dave moves fast. I locked Thanatos in Roswell's room, or at the very least closed the door on him to make escape harder. Then, following Orlando's voice towards the rec room, I looked in to see if Roswell was in fact keeping him busy. Roswell was sitting quietly next to Orlando while he talked hurriedly about something. It was clear this conversation was one-sided, even while the video game was idling in front of them. Hey. The tone of my voice reminded me that I'd yet to have coffee, and I was surprised that they hadn't made a move to get breakfast, or were still downstairs, not that it mattered.
Dave? What's going on?
Nothing, just checking in.
Everything all right?
Everything's fine.
It doesn't seem fine with how you're staring at Roswell like that.
I haven't had coffee yet, I'll get some in a minute.
Oh, sure.
Hey, Orlando, can I ask a favor?
Of course. What's up?
Can you step outside the room for a sec? I need to have a talk with Roswell, privately.
What about?
Nothing serious, I promise. It's definitely something serious. Important enough that I need to talk to him alone.
Dave, you understand what's happening right now, right? What's happening today and with everyone being on edge and everything?
I know, this is related to that, but it's not serious.
Then I can stay. If it's important, then why does it have to be a secret from the group?
Oh my god.
It only needs to be a secret until I ask Roswell some things. After our talk, we can tell the group. Promise?
Please, just let the conversation end, you pile of garbage. You pile of annoying garbage. Just shut the fuck up and let the scene end, please. Orlando, you have no value in the plot at all. You've done nothing ever, and all your involvement has done is cause issues. Just shut the fuck up for once.
He just kind of waits around for the whole story to happen, and then he kills his dad. After 24 days of doing basically nothing. His two plot activities are killing his dad and always enabling Dean's weird date.
I just have a lot of fucking thoughts. I actually think Orlando is like the least interesting character in the entire plot. I think he's annoying.
Orlando actively sucks.
He does not need to exist. His existence in the plot is mostly just for being annoying. Like, I just don't.
I can't wait for the scene where Orlando probably still cooks dinner for Dean's date in his own route.
Yeah.
Because that's upsetting.
Imagine getting cucked like that. That's wild. I just like can't do it. I just like, this is a character that like needs a personality. I just don't. I find it frustrating. That's all. I'm just being
we're
a crap.
only told from third party perspectives later that he's supposed to be really flamboyant, apparently. With a nod, he stood up slowly, looking between me and Roswell and heading to the door.
All right, well, don't take too long.
And with that, he closed the door behind him, leaving Roswell and I alone. Roswell.
Dave?
I stomped towards him, confused, scared, and angry all at the same time. When I got close enough, I dropped to my knees in front of him, and he sat on the beanbag and I dropped to my knees in front of him as he sat on the beanbag and grabbed him roughly by the shirt. I wanted to punch him. I wanted to hug him. I didn't know exactly where it landed, but he broke the silence first by putting a hand on mine.
You okay?
It was a question I wasn't sure I had the answer to, but I shook my head all the same. How could you?
How could I what?
It was you. The whole time it was you. Putting our friends in danger, and for what?
Wow. Shock. What a surprise. Wowzer.
It was a dry gasp of air instead of a chuckle. I needed a glass of water or something, as I could feel my head starting to pound.
Hold up. You're telling me it was Roswell, the sketchiest character, the whole time?
I can't believe that Roswell's Akane.
Wow. This is really deep. This is too deep for me.
You know,
it's
can they make
too
a
hard
fourth
to
Zero Escape to save me from this? I'm ready to go back to Zero Escape now. It's fine.
Yeah.
I can take another trilogy.
That's nuts. But wow. Just crazy.
To keep me alive? To stop me from dying? He let his hand fall away and stayed quiet. Say something, asshole! I snarled, rearing a fist back as if to throw a punch. At once I felt Tyson's influence rubbing off on me, but in the same instance Roswell didn't even flinch, just looked at me with sad, tired eyes.
Go on, Dave. If it'll make you feel better, then,
Instead I just grabbed him again, throwing my arms around him in a hug. Did you ever think to tell me what was happening? Did you ever think that maybe I would have wanted the choice?
You never listened. Thanatos just...
He shook his head, looking me in the eye.
Let's start at the beginning, I guess. Maybe sit down, because it's gonna sound crazy.
At this point I'd believe anything.
To start with, back when we were kids, I got sick and moved away. That's only half true. I just spent a lot more time here, a lot more time.
So you're just going to offer that for free? What? Dave randomly indignant that the revelation's happening after he confronts somebody for a revelation.
Did I let you tell me what you've already figured out first?
No, I think we're beyond that.
During that time, Oz made Thanatos for me as a friend. Not like I could see anyone else while I was there on a mountain. When Thanatos was turned on the first time, he felt strange.
Strange how?
The zombie rat felt strange.
Yeah.
Interesting. But mysterious even.
Compared to what other status quo he could have had.
That he was going through the motions, introducing himself, but holding something back. Only later did he fill me in on everything, or at least most of what I assume he's lived through.
No, but the problem is that the way that this was set up implies that there actually was a starting loop. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. This is just, I guess, that Roswell becoming aware of the loop is not the start of the loop, I guess. It's fine. It's fine. It's whatever.
That's in every version of this vacation?
And then some. Countless nights, he'd tell me the different ways this all played out. The vacation didn't happen. Sometimes it did. Even when it did, there were variations.
Yes, please do not summarize the plot of the story we've been reading back to us right now. Please, I'm begging you. Please, God, don't do it.
Like we do it on what day, or
even who showed up. He told me of every possible permutation of things he'd tried to fulfill one simple promise that I asked of him way back at the start of his life. To save my friends.
By killing them, though? You can't expect me to believe for a second that this is okay. That explaining this to everyone else is going to be met with, oh, okay, Roswell, I understand why you tried to kill us.
I'm sorry, okay? I didn't know what to do.
But he didn't really try to kill you guys. It's fine.
The implication is that Roswell's behind all of the murders in the first half of the story.
Yes, I understand that, but like, again, I don't think that actually truly holds up to things, because Roswell is like, we have to save all of my friends. No, nothing is acceptable if we don't save all of them. So it's like, does that even really square away with the writing? It's kind of weird. It's just kind of weird.
It also makes him frustratingly Akane-pilled in that he thinks it's worth it to kill these people in countless timelines to finally create one timeline where they're all alive, but all the other timelines still exist.
Yeah.
It's like, the timeline where everyone gets saved does not undo all the timelines where you killed people. And there's more of those than the one where you finally work out. Maybe not listen to the rat that's trying to get you to kill your friends?
But if I didn't, everyone would have died. That's the one constant that he says always comes to pass.
But killing people, Roswell, are friends, people we love.
You don't know each other, and also most of your friends suck and probably should be dead, so it's fine. It's like whatever.
And watching everyone die tragic deaths is better?
Sure.
Watching you die, then Tyson, then Hoss, then Dean, then Sal, and Orlando? Watching everyone fall apart just because you died?
There's the problem here
approximately
is
0 timelines where everyone died.
The problem here is that people care about Dave, and Dave somehow is the card holding the house of cards together.
Yeah, it's incomprehensible. Like in most of the bad ends, where especially when the ambulance shows up, like 1 or 2 characters might die in the epilogue. But he's talking about everyone dying. I'm like, that's not a thing that ever happened.
That we see, but apparently this is a universal constant. That has actually been repeated to us a few times, that it's like some sort of universal constant, that it happens always.
As unclearly as possible, though, because it's still usually like somebody's marked for death, not everyone will die. That's not usually the rule they keep saying. But it remains unclear what the source of that rule even is, or why it's an effect, or even why people believe it. So considering it's the entire core of the story, it should have been way more reinforced. I flinched, unsure how to take it. I didn't realize how bad things were. If I was in the, if I was at the middle of this.
So my choice was between doing nothing, given Thanatos had said that trying to tell you met with failure, or doing something to try and save at least some of our group.
But how do you even pick that? How do you live with yourself with that?
I'm dying, remember? I can spend what days I have left guilt-ridden and then passing away knowing that at the very least a person who's terminally ill died first.
This is messed up.
So the choice is yours now, Dave. You know somehow all of this. You know what my side is, and if you choose to condemn me for it, then you're completely right in doing so. I find a lot of it frustrating because it's like an ethical moral debate where it's like the ethical situation is to minimize harm no matter the cost, because the net outcome will always require some harm, but the moral outcome is just like magically workshop a solution that works for everyone. And that is usually the path that writers take, but it's also like really ideologically void, unpragmatic, not really applicable to real life, and also not really interesting in the context of a story that's completely constructed. So it's like both sides of this argument just like only aren't interesting because the thought experiment of the narrative of this game isn't particularly ideologically sound.
Yeah. Because like there's just not that much going on at the end of the day.
Yeah, because like I do think that there is philosophically something to discuss about like countless timelines exist. You have to find a way to like save as many people as possible. Like the trolley problem exists because it is like an interesting philosophical quandary of like, what is the ethical choice in this situation? And there are lots of other levers that get pulled there to like create the ethics of the situation to make you ponder the thought experiment. What's not interesting is like that, but also you could just build a different track and then like working yourself backwards until that second track is built arbitrarily in the context that you made up of the situation. Like it just doesn't, these characters are just arguing past each other, and there's nowhere to stand here and be like, philosophically this is interesting because of the constraints, because there just kind of aren't constraints in this. It's just garbage nonsense that doesn't make sense.
They can infinitely solve the problem, but only when they like get around to it.
Yeah, exactly.
But then also most of the story is not about solving the problem.
Yeah.
That doesn't get us off the mountain. That doesn't save us from what's about to happen.
For what it's worth, I didn't plan Memphis's arrival.
Okay.
But you still tried to kill people. In fact, that's kind of like worse. He didn't know. If he didn't know Memphis was coming, then he just happened to plan a trip where he was gonna murder people with an axe and so on.
What's especially weird is just that like the idea that he wouldn't know that Memphis was coming, even though it just implied that there were already enough iterations that what's his name, not Roswell, Thanatos, told him that his friends died no matter what, and then ostensibly his friends dying happened because of Memphis. Like that was the implication, is that at the end of the timelines, Memphis basically kills everyone, and even that's even true of the timelines where they all escape. Because they're killed by the fucking Dragon Mafia. So, like, it's just like, how did you not know that?
Well, they're not killed off overall. It's just randomly Orlando gets killed. And it's less random now that we know that there's the Dragon Mafia, and that's literally, like, what the story is about. By the time, it was like, wait, what?
But what I'm saying is that...
blindside you with the fact that Orlando gets killed by the Dragon Mafia in a random ending. And you're like, the what?
I understand that aspect. What I'm saying is the whole basis of this is that Roswell gets pulled into this conspiracy by Thanatos telling him, your friends always die. All of your friends are dead if nothing happens. That is the base conceit of this story. If you do nothing, your friends will die. So Roswell is motivated to kill some of them to try and minimize the amount of all of his friends dying. And then the implication there is that throughout all of the timelines, even if they try to get away, even if they try to just like not go, doing nothing results in everyone dying, period.
This game so desperately needed to just be a good death game.
Yeah. And by the end result of this, though, is that, and this is me just speaking from our experience as the reader, the only timelines where everyone dies are the timelines where Memphis shows up and kills everyone. So the implication is that Memphis kills everyone, and if Thanatos knows that everyone dies, ostensibly he would know that Memphis is part of the reason for that, and that's why he clues Roswell in the first place. In fact, during the scene where Roswell makes the promise to Thanatos that we have seen in a flashback, it's because Memphis killed everyone. So how would he not know that Memphis was coming?
Yeah. It's just, I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. Like, even the idea, like, I didn't plan on Memphis coming. Like, okay.
Yeah, like,
but you still
he's part
continually
of the conceit.
enable infinite timelines where he's coming. Like, I don't, what do you mean? What are you supposed to do with that? If you know he's coming and you don't avoid that or change the plans, then you functionally are planning on him coming. And then
yeah,
that's what the truth is. I rested my back in my beanbag, looking up at the ceiling. I have no idea what we're meant to do now.
I think this is fucking insane because one, Roswell had a plan that was immediately communicated to us in the last session, and Dave remembers part of what happened there, so should he not just listen to what Roswell said and then everything will work out? But also...
He also didn't have a plan. His plan was basically just the original plan A of go into the woods as planned and don't take Dave.
Sure, yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, it failed because Dave got involved. So, like, maybe you just tried that. Like, that's more of an operating plan than everything else that has gone wrong, because by order of, like, just, like, cutting out the answers that don't work on the multiple choice test, maybe doing the thing that isn't fucked up by you interfering will work. That's the logic of this entire thing. And you think that Dave by this point would understand that, especially for a scene that's supposed to be such a fucking climax in the story and has come off as incredibly anticlimactic and nonsensical. This is the big reveal. This is the your Akane moment, and it's told with the gravitas of two guys sitting on a beanbag. Like, what the fuck?
Literally that.
It's just insane. It's just insane that this is what this has come to. I don't like this at all. I hate that we're covering it.
Do you have any ideas?
I think we need to tell someone that would be able to process all of this and help. You can't be doing this alone anymore.
I haven't been. Oz helped set things up, arrange things, so he wasn't meant to be on this mountain. In the house that he lived in.
Well, so much for that.
He knows you know, I'm guessing?
I was going to talk to him later in an attempt to figure out what to make of this mess, but here we are instead.
What about Orlando or Dean?
No offense to either of them, but I don't think this is really something they know how to handle. How about Benson?
He knows, but he hasn't ever liked Thanatos. Feels what he knows is too invasive to privacy and against the natural order.
Cool.
Yeah, just...
He's a robot. He's hardly natural as it is.
Tell him that. I've tried, but it doesn't work.
I got up slowly and stood there for a few moments before offering a hand out to Roswell to help him up too. Promise me that you're not going to kill anyone else.
Between now and when I die?
Ever.
Technically, I haven't killed anyone, but I promise no killing.
You technically killed people. That's not what I mean. I mean no more killing. In any timeline, you go and tell Thanatos that it's over.
But Dave, doing nothing means you die, and if you die...
Then find a way. Don't become a murderer. Don't let yourself think that's the only way out. Find a way to make me understand, even if it means hurting me, but no killing.
I'll see what I can do.
I wandered over to the door and opened it again, looking around for Orlando. Seems like Orlando's moved on.
So I'll go talk to Thanatos and figure something out. You're gonna go talk to Oz?
Why do you call him that anyway, instead of Oswin, or, you know, your uncle?
It's complicated.
We split off with the plan that Roswell would pick up where he left off with Orlando after relaying what we talked about to Thanatos, which left me to figure out a plan with Oswin, or at the very least let him know how things went. I'm back. He looked up from his computer at me, gesturing me closer.
And?
I still don't know what to think or feel. He just admitted everything.
Yes, well, you know Roswell. Stubborn and childish like his father.
Is that stubborn, admitting everything? He's gonna talk to Thanatos about plans for every timeline moving forward. I trust Roswell will make the right choice.
But do you trust Thanatos? He's the one that's going to be relaying all of this forward.
I'm gonna have to. Even if the chances of him actually doing it are slim, I've gotta try.
For what it's worth, I commend your faith.
Also known as naivety or stupidity or moving on. I feel like I need to find out what the plan is for tonight. Obviously, me going is a bad idea, so is Roswell.
I was thinking about that actually. How much of the trip into the woods do you remember?
Not enough to be useful. I remember the walk out there, but I don't know if it was from when Roswell went out or when I did. I can pick out some parts that I can rule out one way or the other, but not enough.
Nothing from when we reached the other end? But of being shown the exit?
I don't know. Sorry, bits and pieces are still coming to me, but it's a lot to process. Not a lot to process, it's explicitly nothing to process because you don't have the information.
It can't be helped. Let's rule you out as an option.
So we understand that I don't want any of my friends in danger, right?
Of course, but someone would need to go if we wanted to leave Benson in reserve here to ensure some level of safety.
So the choice should obviously be Dean, right? He's the one best suited to navigating the woods anyway, and he dumped me like 2 days ago.
Is that what you believe to be the right choice?
He dumped you? I still think this shit is fucking crazy.
Uh-huh. And then he needed...
This shit is actually fucking crazy.
And then he needed a break to emotionally recover from dumping us.
I'm dumping Grizz right now because of our long-lasting, ongoing relationship that didn't exist. So just everyone beware. That is what has happened. We're no longer in a relationship that we were never in to begin with. It's just insane. I'm dumping right now, just for the record, I'm dumping Timothy Chalamet. We've never spoken once, and there's absolutely no charisma or chemistry between us. But just in case people were wondering, all of my friends were saying that I would be great with Timothy Chalamet, but relationship over.
It's true. We all said that during Lethal Company episode 69.
Yeah, exactly. But now the relationship is over. I'm going to need a lot of time to get over this, by the way. So I hope Timothy understands and respects my privacy.
As you upload your experiences online. He's the only one of us with some sort of experience. So long as he's willing, he's got the best shot of coming back.
Seems reasonable to me. Almost like we had to contrive reasons not to just start here with the story.
Literally, though.
Yes. So how is this going to play out with the rest of you while I'm gone?
Well, presumably this is going to end up with Dean coming back and telling us where the exit is, and then we leave.
Very well.
And you're fine with this?
My original plan was, well, to have Roswell come with me. Then should the worst happen, I'd know he was safe. Or dead.
Okay. That sounds like a bad plan. Yeah, being dead is a great compromise there.
Given his sins and mine, I feel it appropriate that he either gets out or dies trying.
What is this dilemma? What is that dichotomy? What the fuck are you saying? I don't understand.
Given reality, I feel it appropriate that he either lives or dies.
I don't...
If I die today, tell my wife I said hello.
Those are like
It's
polar
just
opposites. What the fuck are you talking about?
Also, just once again, describing reality. No matter what, you either live or die through anything that has mortal consequence. What are you fucking talking
I don't
about?
understand. Like, normally you'd be like, given his sins, he should die trying. Like, he
I
should
think
die.
it would be inappropriate that he live or die. He should exist in a state of purgatory between both extremes of life and death.
I have no idea what he's saying.
After all, you know what he's been plotting now.
I'm not looking forward to explain this to everyone else.
Then don't.
I have to tell them something. One of their friends has been trying to kill them, and on a vacation, no less.
Then tell them after you're safely off the mountain, or do you want to incite an argument when your focus should be on leaving?
Sometimes I put up videos on YouTube while we play, and the one that I've been listening to for the past like hour and a half or whatever that we've been recording is just it's a 10-hour long video of someone driving on the highway at night. And it just keeps me like really centered while we do this, you know, like it's like, oh, like they're like driving through like the countryside in like, I don't know, it's like maybe China or it might be Russia, but it's just like wilderness. It's not like in a city, but yeah, it's just like, you know,
Just
it's getting me
soothing.
there. Yeah, I'm on a car ride and I'm in the car with you and we're just unfortunately listening to the Password audiobook the whole time.
It's just like normally being in the car with me.
Yes, exactly. Being trapped. I mean, driving from someplace, getting from point A to B. It just takes as long as it takes.
It just takes as long as it takes.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Like a prison sentence. Grumbling and clenching my jaw, I shook my head.
Good. Now, is there anything I can do to assist further?
Yes, just tell me something. You were fine with Roswell doing all this? From the very beginning you knew and you were fine with it?
Truthfully, no. I didn't want to see that boy repeating my mistakes, but given our relationship, you should know what it's like.
I don't understand.
Well, you see, I wrote those parts of the story first, and now I have to reconcile this retroactively, so I just kind of throw my hands up and shrug. It's like our relationship, Dave. Imagine if David was still alive. Would he not give you the world if he were able?
I don't know if David would be psyched about Dave killing all of his friends in 100 timelines. I went to argue back, but found myself faltering. He was right. No. Or at least my memory of Dad was of a man who would give me anything I could have, need, or want if it was in his power to do so. Alright. Proofreading is A+ on this playthrough.
Do not worry, Dave. There will be justice. There will be a time and place where all of this is put right, and you will have your vindication.
Will we? He's gonna die like in a week. On his own. And my life.
Which, all things considered, is a blessing.
He picked up the envelope on his desk, sitting there from where we'd conversed before.
I really should tell that boy I love him.
Have you ever?
Maybe not as many times as I should, or impressed upon how serious I was when I have. Then do it? You're right. You're right, me, the thing I said earlier that I should do. Yeah. Perhaps I should, before I head into the woods. Absolutely before you head into the woods. You never know what's going to happen out there.
Oh my god. The dialogue is incredible.
Mm-hmm. I should really tell that boy I love him. You should tell that boy I love him. You're right. What? He grunted and tore open the envelope, looking at the picture held within. I wonder how much all of this Flora knew when she was there the day of your arrival. You think she might have planned all this? Planned? No. Had a hunch almost certainly. Though given how Roswell turned out, it's hard to really know exactly where her mind is at. Spacey, but incredibly switched on when she hyper-focuses on something. Was she just visiting? Why was she here anyway? She'd been here for a few days, checking in on things. At first I assumed it was just a visit, but who knows what exactly it was all for. Maybe she was waiting for someone. Maybe she was just spending some time with her younger brother. Guess we'll never know. I won't. You still might should you make it off the mountain. You'd know where to go in order to find her, at least. Oswin sighed and put the photo away, adjusting his glasses. Is there anything more you want of me right now, Dave? Some magical way that's not knocking me out? To give me the space to process what's happening to me? Why do I remember things that didn't happen? Why is everything so vivid? In a really indistinct and unhelpful way. I'm surprised that you're having this reaction after using the vault so many times. If it was Thanatos doing, then yeah, I'd get it. But it just feels different now. Well, I'd recommend getting something to eat and laying down. Take the moment to properly breathe and take stock of what you want to do. Or don't. Have a coffee and power through the day instead. Like always, we're just listing all possibilities instead of definitively saying anything, ever. Both in dialogue and narration. I'll figure it out when I get to the kitchen. Plus, there's still so much else I want to think over. Maybe laying down is for the best. Osmond guided me out of the passage, and we parted ways at the bottom of the stairs leading up. As I walked across the foyer, I could still see flashes of what was happening in my memory, making me stumble. I just had to ground myself somehow, ground myself in a way that I could then base everything else off of. As I walked in the kitchen, I went for the coffee machine and grabbed a mug, though didn't pour myself a cup. Was it better to be alert on caffeine or have something more mellow to gather my thoughts? I decided on coffee. I didn't want to have tea, otherwise I'd potentially find myself falling asleep. Tea, which is caffeinated. Besides, it felt as though my mind was processing slower than it should have been, so I just needed the jump start. Then I was back upstairs with my mug, drinking deep from it. I sat down on the side table and then lay down. There's a side table? You sat on the side? You're at a bed, you weirdo. My name is Dave Holloway. I am on vacation with my friends. We are currently in danger because of Memphis, Jack and Dominic, who are out in the woods. I sighed, sitting up to finish my coffee. It burned on the way down, but I didn't care. Tonight, I would have gone into the woods with Oswin. He had a letter to give me, and a message to pass on to Roswell. Then, after that, there was a shack. Memphis was there. Shaking my head, I tried to grasp at the memory, but it was fading fast. But also, tonight, Roswell would go off on his own. I'd noticed him sneak away from Tyson to go find him, but he'd been acting strange. Because I could remember things I shouldn't. But it also means that someone needs to go in tonight. Dean, probably. With a sigh, I sank into bed just as the door to my room opened. Dave? Can we talk? Do I have to get up? I guess not. Is now a bad time? No, it's fine. Just gathering my thoughts. After your private chat with Roswell earlier, I could only imagine. He told you what we talked about already? I was hoping to hear it from you, actually. Well, sit down. It's gonna be a bit. It is? Well, now I'm not interested. I have a short attention span. Before we get into this, what if I told you I figured out who was behind it all? Behind every fault vision. Behind people being in danger. I'd be asking who and what we're gonna do about it. What if I said it was someone in the house? Then all the more reason that we should be telling everyone.
It's also just so fucking clear that there are other problems to worry about.
Uh-huh.
It's just like, knowing who is responsible for the vault visions does not solve the rest of the problem, which is that, to begin with, the vault was never actually what caused death. Regardless of Roswell doing his little murder, whatever, the clear and present danger has absolutely nothing to do with him. It is entirely yet another inciting event on top of this, which is that an evil, like a cartoonishly evil monster shows up to make the plot less nuanced and interesting. And he's just going to kill everyone. It is, you had an interesting glimmer of a plot, which is that everyone is going to die, and so your friend shows up and does morally dubious actions, and how do we square this away? And Roswell could have been the villain, and it could have worked. But actually, Dragon Hitler showed up, and he's just gonna murder everyone regardless. So that's what we need to deal with right now. So why are we spending time doing this? I don't get it.
Uh-huh. Should have been a death game. Should have been a wacky, crazy anime death game, and at the end it's revealed that that Roswell was just trying to save everyone's life by killing them.
Because Roswell being the thing about this that doesn't matter is that, like, Roswell being the mastermind still doesn't solve the problem, which is that Memphis is going to kill everyone. They all get mad at Roswell and they take Roswell out right now, and Memphis just kills them. That's what happens. They kill Roswell right now, or they arrest him and they go, we're gonna get the police to come. And then in 5 days, fucking Memphis shows up and burns the house down and they all are corpses. So, like, I understand the indignation about their friend betraying them. But, like, if you, me, and Andrew and Marty and all of our friends and Ka were sitting in a room, and one of us had racked up $10,000 of credit card debt by stealing one of our identity, and that was really bad and was going to ruin one of our lives. But outside there's someone with a flamethrower that's about to burn the house down. I'm really not going to be torn up about the identity theft until we deal with the guy that's burning the house down. So why aren't we dealing with Memphis? I just don't understand how you write this.
Oh, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. Especially since, like, Roswell's plan was basically just kill everybody on day 8. Kill whoever Dave is on a date with, specifically on day 8. And then do nothing for the rest of the trip, except cause the massacre and werewolf endings.
Sure, yeah.
That's all he ever does for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He just stops.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that he injects himself with poison.
I think that there's also
Russell's plan is unhinged. Like, it's really hard to even unpack what he's doing.
One of the things that I find difficult about this all too, though, is that, like, I think these meta narratives specifically need to pay attention to how the player's agency manifests in games for them to be relatable. Full stop, I understand the argument that, like, Roswell killed all these people in all the other times, and those don't stop existing, so he still has, like, the moral guilt of having killed people. I understand that argument, but I actually don't agree with it in the context of the video game, because in the context of a video game that we are playing, a player's agency is divorced from the moment to moment and only exists in the context of the ends. Because this is an open and shut narrative, there is a beginning, there is a middle, and there is a concrete ending, and that concrete ending exists in perpetuity, right? So Roswell killing all of these people in timelines that don't matter, that we don't see, or even that we see but then become irrelevant to the end of our journey, kind of leans ludonarratively on the idea that like actually Roswell was right to do this and the end result that we get is the correct option. That's what the narrative and the structure of the story communicates to the reader, because we too exist outside of the confines of the narrative and the moment to moment of what is happening.
It's why people forget the gravity of all that and the fact that that's what actually happened, is that countless people have died. It's why people always forget that Lotus canonically just gets murdered after being kidnapped in 999 over and over again, and that most timelines are Lotus gets murdered, having not understood what was happening or why this happened to her, and she doesn't have like a sin tying her to the narrative, so she's just here because her daughter was also murdered.
Yeah, and I think even in the context of Zero Escape, you play around with this idea because, again, the entire conceit of Zero Escape is we are working towards one timeline, and that is the miracle timeline. The trope is literally called the miracle kakera. It comes from Umineko and Higurashi, where this idea of like, we are working towards one solution that supersedes all others for a reason, because there is something that invalidates all of them at the base level that cannot be mitigated, even accounting for the murders. Like, something ruins everything regardless, and we need this conceit in order to move forward. That's how you construct this sort of ethical moral debate. The problem here is that it doesn't have that, and we're already metagamed, so the end result literally, like, the moment-to-moment suffering here doesn't make any sense. And while the game flounders on doing this, there is still the clear and present danger happening that the player is deeply aware of, that the characters should also be deeply aware of at this point, that has been communicated multiple times in the text, that they're just not paying attention to. So it saps the narrative and dramatic tension of these moments because we're inherent, like, meta agents in this narrative, and it is just a waste of our time. Period. Like, it literally doesn't matter. Like, Orlando and his suffering in this moment is irrelevant and doesn't matter, just objectively by the way the text portrays causality. And part of the problem, I think, with Password especially is that the way that Password's like time travel or like multiple universe theory works is that there is always another reset after the end. So this will keep happening. And if they find, is the thought that if they find the miracle kakera, if they find the right course of action, they will always act in such a way forever in perpetuity through however many versions of Thanatos' rebirth or whatever, that now they have it settled and this will never happen again. That only further justifies everything Roswell is doing. And while ethically and morally from a narrative perspective or from a moment-to-moment perspective this can be debated, the issue is that the structure of the novel and the conceit around its sci-fi elements just prove that the end justifies the means. So the fact that they're even arguing about this in the moment, even as characters who don't have the full picture, is insane because they know Space Hitler is coming to kill them. And there's nothing they're just not dealing with that problem. And it is so obvious from what we know as players that that's how this problem is supposed to be solved and how we're supposed to approach it, that any waffling right now on a character drama level requires us to just step back from our own position in the narrative as meta agents to just be like, all right, I guess they're just wasting our time to argue about this right now while like we just wait for the oncoming train to hit them. Okay. Go on, do your petty character drama that's irrelevant and useless and narratively just void. Just do it, I guess.
But it's also infinite. It's visual novel writing, so they can also just never... They can waste infinite of our time without ever running out of time.
Yes, exactly.
So the train is always approaching but never arrives. Like when the Chosen One is running across the field in Kung Pao.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, completely. It's exhausting. It's so inherently dysfunctional.
Womp womp. Yeah, the implication is that they have to then have Thanatos learn exactly how to manipulate everybody so they can create the one good ending every time forever, because this is, yeah, you'll still keep having infinite timelines forever, presumably.
Yeah.
But none of those infinite timelines involve just leaving? Just go?
Yeah,
That
I have
doesn't
no
come
idea.
up in their list of options. Like, maybe I should tell everyone to leave before Memphis comes here. Maybe that would help save them from Memphis. Because, like, nothing about the process of defeating Memphis in any way implies any kind of breaking of whatever nonsensical curse somehow causes them to be in danger in the first place. So nothing about this narrative implies any kind of solution to the original problem.
Well, what's crazy is that, like, the intent here, the belief here is that, like, Memphis is so inherently powerful and so has so many contingencies that no matter what they do, all options are covered. And even if that is a hand
Even though
wave,
Memphis explicitly doesn't know who they are.
exactly. So that's
like,
what I was about to say.
Who the fuck is he hunting?
Is this idea of, like, okay, so even if we accept the narrative conceit that all options are covered, right? That's something that stories will do. Stories will construct this idea of, like, it doesn't matter, he's always one step ahead, so we need to find a clever solution. You don't even need to demonstrate that a character is actually fully one step ahead all the time in order to effectively communicate that in your narrative, as long as it becomes eminently clear to the characters that, like, no, this is just an undeniable fact of the story. I'll use Umineko language here, which you won't understand, but the audience probably will. Is like, if it's written in red,
probably.
if you write
Someone
in
will.
red truth, red text, Memphis will always kill the party, no matter what. He has all options covered. There is no way to escape without Memphis tracking everyone down. You can do that. The problem is, you can't then have text that contradicts that.
Yeah.
And what has been established is that Memphis shows up with two dudes who usually just get murked, and then Memphis maybe dies sometimes, just inexplicably, to Orlando, the character he also kills pretty often.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, what? Just like, what?
There's no power scaling of any kind. Like, these people just will beat each other in random orientations.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's
Jack
there's-
can kill Benson with a knife until he doesn't.
Yes, exactly. There's no logic or rules. Like, again, if you want to set this up as a chess game, in chess, you know, a knight moves, you know, 2 spaces forward, 1 space to the left or right. Like, you know, or like a bishop always moves diagonally.
Or in JoJo
like,
terms, my stand does this, and I need to find a clever way for this to be the solution then.
Yes,
But
exactly.
instead, we don't know we have no idea what Orlando or Memphis or anyone's capable of. Then Memphis is seemingly invulnerable, and then Orlando just kills Memphis, you know, off screen, and we never get an explanation for how he did it.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
cool.
nothing can kill a dragon except all the things that can kill Orlando conveniently.
So
like,
Orlando
it's
magically beat the death curse, which increasingly, what's really frustrating is that Orlando is simultaneously the nothing character and the main character of the story. Because like the villain is his dad, and he kills the villain. And also, when you talk about, like, as much as the game wants to be like this, everyone, all these timelines, all of your friends die because it's all about saving Dave. This is all on Dave's shoulders because Roswell made it that way, and it's all about Dave. The entire orbit of the universe centers around Dave. It centers around Orlando.
Yeah,
Because in
like,
the other timelines where people just leave, Orlando gets killed by the Dragon Mafia.
Yeah.
And that's the closest we have to a manifestation of the curse, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, because we've never gotten concrete terms of what the even stakes are. The most we have is just the vague threat of the Dragon Mafia, who doesn't know most of the main cast exists. So they just kill Orlando usually. So
There's
really,
also
at the end
just-
of the day, this whole story is just about saving Orlando, but no one seems to know it in the story.
I mean,
so it's
to
just
support-
me. I know that, and that's it.
to support that even more, the biggest issue of this is that Orlando is also the main blocker for why they can't just use the escape route that we know they need to use, which
Orlando's
is to just leave by
plot
the main
dragon.
road.
He's so fucking annoying, and everything about how he's handled the story.
And he's also the one setting up this weird Dean date constantly. Like, literally, it feels like Dave was not a part of this story
No.
Until he was written in, and Orlando was the main character, which is just bizarro.
Yeah, no, Orlando's the single most important character in the story, but he also never does anything. Orlando, what if it was me? The prospect made him come to a screeching halt, and he tried to come up with some rationale that didn't seem like an attack on me. Or that's what it looked like anyway. It's not, but that's kind of the problem, isn't it? You didn't seem to have any problems explaining away any wrongdoing I could have done, but if it was anyone else, well... Is that what you talked to Roswell about? We both kinda have figured it out. He knew before me, so I just had to give him a piece of my mind. But who is it, though? Is it Dean? That's... No, it's not Dean. Then... It doesn't matter. What matters is, what do you think I should do with the information? Well, if you and Roswell both know, then it should be simple. We find out why they did it and figure out a way to use it to get off the mountain. They did it to keep me alive. The worst part about all of this is that if I were to die, everyone else dies too. How? That sounds so... stupid. Tragic? Yeah. I was gonna say anime. God damn it. That's the same thing as stupid.
Yep.
God damn it. Well, at least Haas would apply? At least Haas would be happy? When's the last time we saw Haas?
I don't know.
In this narrative where characters matter.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not friends. I forgot Haas was like a character, honestly. Like, he just doesn't exist. It's fine.
I don't remember the last time he showed up. Dave, you shouldn't be saying that after explaining that everyone else dies if you do. How does everyone else die? I don't know specifics, just that it's really tragic? Of course it is. Oh, and the other part, the reason we're currently in danger with your dad and stuff, completely unrelated. The game said it. The game said that the ending of the game is irrelevant to the premise of the game.
Everything I just said. Literally everything I just said. I am so exhausted. I'm gonna be super legit right now, and I'm gonna say something that's really alarming and is gonna make people sad and is crazy. But like, this game makes me want to quit Let's Playing. Like, I don't want to cover video games anymore because this is what comes of it. It's
what
awful.
A coincidence. When I played Zero Escape Virtue's Last 4 with Andrew, he did quit Let's Playing.
I can't.
I'm killing my friends with visual novels about time loops.
It just really sucks.
Which is funny because this game's almost as long as your Let's Play career.
This game is almost as long as my Let's Play career.
It's been here the whole time.
It's really stressful. It's just really stressful that this is...
All I can think about is the episode of Doctor Who with Peter Capaldi, where at the end of the episode he's like, oh, it's not an evil plot. I don't know what to do when there's not an evil plot.
Yeah,
and then there's nothing happens in that episode.
I don't think... I just don't think this works. Like, this is one of those things where like I think about making content and I think about reading stuff and I think about all of the games that I could be playing or do play or want to play, and it's just like this. If this is what we get, then it's like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And it's really kind of sad, I guess. I don't know. I think it's
flashback all the way back to the choice when Toaster reached out in VR chat and he's like, I get to meet a YouTuber I like, Monkey Paw Curl.
yeah. I mean,
maybe
it's
I shouldn't have made this choice.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like, all of this time, enjoying Let's Playing and making stuff has been very valuable to me and has been like very meaningful in the context of my own life. But boy, the cost was very high. because I had to play Password. And that hurts. And that's all. I'm not saying I'm quitting Let's Playing. I am saying I am losing my mind. That's what should be taken away from this, is that I'm losing my mind. And an already very stressful time in my life. Password is just haunting me still. And that's all. It's fine. We'll finish it. I'll finish it, and then maybe I'll play a good game. Maybe I would love to be able to play a video game.
Uh-huh.
I would love to be able to do that.
A good game, like that one with the lady, and she does karaoke sometimes, but also she's the Vanquish protagonist other times.
Wanted Dead.
Yes.
I don't think that's a good game, but I think that would be more fun than this. And
a good game.
I just think about all of, like, how much better would my life be if I just, like, didn't constantly put up with annoyances? Like, what if I didn't touch the hot stove all the time? What if I wasn't compelled by my obsessive compulsive disorder to constantly touch the hot stove? What if instead of dealing with Windows and being frustrated that my computer
learning to
doesn't
speedrun
work,
a game?
yeah, like exactly. Like what if instead of dealing with things that bother me, what if I just like installed Linux and then just like played games on my own and like didn't feel beholden to using VC Face to stream? What if instead of playing Password, I like played like games that I know won't perform well on my channel, but just like enjoyed playing, like Shin Megami Tensei 5? What if I just did that?
What 2 video essays did this cost us?
Yeah, exactly. What if I was just done with all of the projects that I've been working on and instead we're playing Password? And I think that there's value for the audience in that, and I'm happy that Password makes money for us. Like, you know, like that's cool. And it's been moderately helpful for me because like maybe 5 people who watch this playthrough like me enough to look at my channel and subscribe to me. Like that.
Everyone
that's
subscribe
cool.
to Toaster's channel. He needs purpose.
I would love to have money and purpose. It would be great.
Get his video essay up, or not video essay, up to 10,000 views.
That would be cool if the Panzer Dragon video did well.
Everyone should watch Up Late with Toaster.
I would like to have 1,000 subscribers on that channel so that I could monetize that video. That would be really cool. But the regardless, that's not my point. My point is just
you owe him the view.
No one will actually click through. Everyone's watching this in their backpack while they're on the bus. Like they're not paying attention.
They're washing the dishes right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never been able to figure out how to get people to do a call to action in the history of YouTube.
Yeah, you need to trick people into doing it with dark patterns, which is the actual answer. But
I don't like that sentence.
Yeah, that's just how it works, though. So the thing with this is just like
FOMO. His video will delete itself in a week. If you don't watch it, you're gonna miss it.
Yes, exactly.
That's one of the things.
I think my big thing with this is that meta narratively, the prison described in Password's narrative does not apply to Dave and his friends, so I cannot relate to their struggles. However, I can relate to my struggle because Password inherently as an object is my prison. And it's just an infinitely fractally spiraling prison that is just so obsessed with wasting my time for no benefit or value to me.
But we're almost there. We can do it.
Well, we can do it. We're going to do it. I'm going to do it, and it's going to be dead.
And then we can play Baldur's Gate.
Yes, we could play Baldur's Gate after that. If they fucking patch the game. But I guess what I'm saying here is ultimately Password has stolen from us so much, but also Batman should just kill the Joker. And that isn't a moral debate. And finishing Password will actually give me closure, and I will heal from it. And I will be a happier person. And revenge isn't inherently corrupting, and killing Password and putting it into the ground and having it behind me will actually heal me and fix me. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
I did this to us.
It's not your fault. It's Furry's fault.
No, it is my fault because I saw the we did the Let's Try of Shelter, and I'm like, that was fun. We should play Shelter. But I was also a coward because Echo and Aster were like 2 of the most popular playthroughs in ages. So I was like, I don't know, I should make it a public vote so I can just like hopefully successfully
do the one that people actually will watch? And I'm like, and I miscalculated based on the fact that people were going to be voting based on no information, most likely, and they basically voted on this because it looked like a puzzle game, kind of, and people like puzzle games on my channel.
Yeah.
Like, to the extent that, as we're talking right now, Professor Layton and Deus Ex, not even Professor Layton 1, Professor Layton 2 is tied with Deus Ex for the Patreon poll this quarter. That's the kind of the audience I have. So I should have anticipated that Password would just win blindly despite not being read by people. And then those people would not, would just have to live with that for the next year. It turns out there are wrong times to ask the audience things. Because they will provide an answer whether or not it's backed by anything.
I don't want to blame the audience for it.
No, I just blame myself because I literally was like, oh, I wanted to play Shelter, and I literally, like, selfish, like, even in the poll, I voted for Shelter in my own poll with Shelter in it, and it's like, I should just play Shelter.
Yeah.
The thing I wanted to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. It is definitely one of those moments of, like, you should just do what you want, and, like, maybe, like, even if you're playing something bad, doing what you want usually... Like, even if it turns out to be a bad experience, like, just getting it out of your mental stack is like a positive thing. But the issue is that, like, we didn't really want to play Password. It just happened to us. And now it's in our mental stack and we need to clear it out, and we're stuck with it. And that's brutal. And that's fine. There's a lot of things like that. I get a lot of really great Amazon window shopping done during Password time, so I can kid for that.
Window shopping.
Yeah, like, I like to go through Amazon and see, like, that looks like a cool book. Let's read the Goodreads reviews of this while Password is happening. I mean, you know, like, I do a lot of that. I put a lot of stuff on my wish lists. I buy records. You know, there's a new King Gizzard record coming out. Just pick that up. Like,
well, this has been Toaster's weekly 30-minute emotional breakdown back to his main programming.
No, this is what they're paying you for. This is what we're here.
Sort of. Oh, and the other part? The reason we're currently in danger with your dad and stuff? Completely right. That's why I went on this tangent again, because that broke me. Just the game just admitting that the fucking villains are relevant to the story. Completely unrelated. Fate just had it out for us. Seriously? This is all just bad luck? Somebody wrote this? Something like that, yeah. He groaned and sat down on the floor, shaking his head. So, what's the next step? That's why I'm laying down. My head hurts from thinking about it. You need to drink more water and eat something. I wish Roswell was a more flawed character. Because my intuitive solution to this narrative still feels like the right one, which is that Roswell should be trying to cure himself. Or Oz should be trying to cure Roswell, and this is like a selfish thing to save.
We need to know a little bit
Roswell.
more about this, like, failed experiment to save him, and also just, like, Roswell's disease in general, because, like, I just feel like it doesn't, it continues to not make any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's just like it being like a bunch of happenstance, like, oh, this friend group is marked for death, and oh, there's also a time machine at this mansion, but also there's a separate mafia attack happening, and they're not tied together in any particular way. It's just like, and this ambiguousness of just like, I don't know, man, someone's gotta save Dave. Like, we gotta save Dave for some reason because someone will die or something will happen. It's so ambiguous and shaky and poorly defined. It really should just be, this will all somehow, like, cure Roswell. That was the goal. Because at least that's a concrete reason for the story to happen. Because otherwise, we still don't have the basic foundation of why this is happening. And that's really annoying. And even the game's just admitting that the mafia is not related. I'm like, cool, that's even less information.
Yep.
You need to drink more water and eat something. I will, eventually. Dave, you know I love you, right? It's not the time.
The seventh time someone said that this episode.
I sat up just enough to look at him, the comment having caught me off guard. Just whatever you want to tell me, I'll listen. I might not understand or even really know what to say or do after you're done, but I'll listen. Thanks, it's okay. I stand up fully, stretching out. So someone needs to go in with Oswin tonight. I was thinking if he's willing, we should send Dean in.
Alright.
Just that? No questions, or...
Did you want me to be asking? No offense to Dean, he's fine, but wasn't the plan to send Roswell?
Yeah, so turns out doing that kills him. Same if I go instead.
Was this something you saw in the vault?
May as well have been. You haven't seen Dean, have you? Probably should check with him sooner rather than later.
Downstairs, probably?
Well, I go ask him, is there anything else we need to cover, or are we good? He shook his head and I stood up, sending me some moves. Seeing me make moves. Okay, I was like, what the fuck am I reading? Seeing me make moves, Orlando got up as well. But before I forget, I hugged him hard, solidly around the middle, or as far as my arms would let me reach around his bulk. Hang in there, Orlando. Everything's gonna turn out okay. We went downstairs together, though he split off towards the kitchen, insisting that I needed to eat something. I headed towards the backyard, where I could see Dean and Haas waiting. Oh my god, he's real! Hey guys.
How you feeling, Dave?
Good. We're not great, but better than I thought I'd be.
Even after yesterday?
What? It took me a moment to register what happened yesterday, what he was talking about, and that I hadn't actually seen them both since. Oh, with Thanatos.
Not to mention missing breakfast.
Yeah, I had something to figure out.
And that something is?
Just something with today, that's all. Just non-answer, barely even a sentence. I turned to face Dean, and when he noticed the difference in how I was standing, he did a double take.
What?
Dean, if you had to, would you go out in the woods?
Sorry?
Dave, what are you getting at?
So the original plan was to send Roswell in with Osmond, right? Turns out, doing that gets him killed.
So you're gonna send Dean instead?
Not if he's not okay with it.
You sure he gets killed?
Yeah, he goes in and dies. If I go in, apparently I die, so... If no one goes, we're stuck with Memphis coming back. At least if someone else goes, we can't avoid that much.
And Dean, because...
He's big and strong.
Because I have experience?
Basically, yeah. We can send anyone else, but you're the one that has probably the best odds to make it back.
Well, you're right. I'm likely the one with the most experience.
He was shifting uncomfortably on the spot, and I quickly shook my head. If you don't want to go, that's fine. We'll think of something else, but I didn't want to just volunteer you without asking first.
Well, it sounds like we don't have a choice, do we?
Really, Dean? We don't have to send anyone if you're not comfortable.
He looked between the two of us before settling his gaze on me.
This is just how it needs to be, right?
I gave him a wry smile and he shook his head.
I'll do it. The more we think about whether it's the right call or not, the more time we waste, so it's fine.
Dean, what if we run into someone out there, like an ambush?
What if any of the other options do? It's just a risk that someone's gonna have to take. Regardless of how much we do or don't like it.
I'm sorry, Dean.
If it gets us home, then we'll call it even. If you still feel bad afterwards, we can worry about it then.
Alright, sure. That sentence got going longer, just muddied things so much more.
Hey, so, I brought snacks.
It was a plate with sandwiches, nothing fancy, but it didn't need to be. I snatched one up eagerly, followed soon by Dean, who did the same. Haas was a bit more reserved, and the four of us watched the woods for any sign of movement. Eventually, Haas decided to keep watch in front just in case. I guess we're done with the idea that Dave isn't hungry when he's stressed. Eventually, Haas decided to keep watch and then sometime. Yeah. Dave was refusing to eat for like the middle third of the story, practically.
No, I mean, I knew that, but I guess I just never really put it together that he was actually doing that because he was stressed and just assumed, I don't know, he was stupid. Like, I don't know, like, it didn't quite hit, it makes sense.
It's just the thing that's come up a lot, like all the skipped breakfasts and other things, but today he's just, without hesitation, eating it immediately. And then sometime later, Orlando decided to go join him and do the same. So, you sure you're feeling alright? Dean's question after a long stretch of silence almost made me jump. I guess I'm still feeling a little out of it. Haven't been sleeping at all well. Not to mention what happened yesterday. Do not remember what happened yesterday. That didn't help for sure, but in general, just a lot has been going on. You know how it is. We're so close to the end of this vacation, but it hasn't really felt like one. Okay? Once we're home, I'm planning on spending some well-earned time relaxing, an actual vacation. In Password 2. Got any ideas? The beach. I want to go to the beach. The beach, huh? Yeah. Maybe do some painting or sunbaking, just listening to the waves would be nice. We're describing the concept of a beach. Also, a beach is a bad place to paint. You're gonna get sand in your... never mind. A fond smile found its way to my face, and I made myself comfortable against the railing surrounding the deck. I don't think we've ever seen a single thing that has ever been drawn or painted by Dave. The protagonist who paints.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
Soon. It'll all happen soon. What's gonna happen soon? Tyson and Sal came out next to us, lingering by the back door. Nothing, Ty, just looking forward to getting home, that's all. Why are you being cagey about going to the beach with your friends? Why did you hide that from your retelling?
How's the wait going?
Nothing yet, still just waiting. Haas and Orlando headed out the front a while ago just in case they come in that direction. Yeah, I'll go see how they're doing. I haven't seen Haas since breakfast. Whereas I haven't seen you today. But I'm gonna prioritize Big Cat. Top Cat? Is that his name? It's his terrible name.
Yeah, I forgot they had nicknames.
Yep. I flashed him a quick smile
the
before
Top Cat and Big Dog for some reason.
They're
for some
awful.
reason, I don't really get it. Again, it's just so that we know that they're best friends.
Yep. Best friends.
I do think that there is nothing on this planet more cringy than having like a forced nickname. I don't mean like having like a persona name that you
saying all the time. And
yeah, that like, you know, it's different than like having a name that you introduce yourself to people as, and like that becomes what they know you by. But like trying to make fetch happen, you know what I mean? Like that idea of like, yeah, I mean, it literally like. I made this part of Sandals' character because I thought it was annoying and funny. Is this idea of being like, yeah, like everyone calls me Sandy. Sandy is what people call me, and then everyone's like, sure, Sandals, like whatever you're saying. Like this idea of like we're gonna make this nickname that is as many syllables as your actual name, and in Haas's case, longer.
More.
Like
the best
we're
I can
gonna
think
make
is that Top
happen.
Cat sounds a little bit like Top Hat. Is that
no? I think
bit?
it's like. I think it's literally just like big dog and Top Cat. Like you're the top cat in the academy. You're cool. Like you're top dog, but he's not a dog.
I can't
he's
imagine
a cat,
anyone
so
saying Top Cat out loud. It's just
hey,
it
Top
sounds,
Cat.
It has
Yeah.
bad mouth feel.
Like this is something that I actually am like deeply aware of because I do call people by nicknames a lot. Like it is a thing that I do that people have told me about. Is they're like, because I call people by their last name all the time at work. Like there are people that I know at work who I have to work to remember their first name because I just call them by their last name. That's just a thing. Even if it's longer than their first name, just because for whatever reason, it's like, we don't have a personal relationship. I call you by your last name because that's how I look you up in the phone book, in the work directory. But Top Cat is like a thing that you're purposefully doing. It's performative to say that. So like, it's just cringe. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to go on a tirade about this. It's just cringe.
Too late. I flashed him a quick smile before he disappeared back inside, seemingly distracted by something.
He was in a hurry to leave.
I bet he just wants to check in with his friend.
And here I thought we were slowly becoming friends.
No. Tyson's just like that. Don't take it personally, Sal. Also, you suck. You're a piece of cardboard. With legs. And that wants to have a gun. Anyone seen Roswell? I was with him before I came out to check on you.
I saw him talking to Benson earlier. He had Thanatos with him as well.
I'll add on that Oswin has just been in his lab, so he's accounted for too. Good. No one's missing. Thank you for this excruciatingly long roll call. Not much else happened. The three of us kept keeping watch and idly chatting to pass the time. I felt I'd be nervous, but instead I was filled with a sense of calm and an odd sense of calm. When it started to get dark, I forget that sometimes there's a dark filter, but only sometimes. When it started to get dark, I wondered if I should go find Oswin to see if anything had changed, or if there was anything else left unsaid from our previous talks. Not to mention Dean had done no preparation for his trek into the woods. Why had he not prepared at all? I'd excused myself briefly to go retrieve my flashlight, and in the time I was gone, Oswin had shown up to ask Dean if he was willing to join him, then spent the rest of the day in the dining room playing a board game with Roswell and Orlando. I floated between the groups, checking with Haas and Tyson only once. They were fine, just like Dean and Sal were, that wondered where Benson and Thanatos had ended up. Dominic stepped out of the trees, the sight familiar in a way that made me reach slowly for my side, a dull ache forming there for reasons I wasn't quite sure of. He made the trek up to where I was on the deck and stopped shy of the stairs. Dominic's not the one that stabbed you.
Sorry, I'm late.
It's all right. I'm just glad you came back. He nodded briefly with a nod. He nodded briefly with a nod, looking between Dean, Sal, and I. Not even one proofreading pass. So, we're heading into the woods? Dean held out his hand for my flashlight and I handed it over, knowing that he needed it much more than I did.
Oswin coming too.
I'm right here. Oswin stepped out from the back door. Behind him I could see Roswell looking uncertain, but he gave me a quick nod when he noticed that I'd seen him. So, I'll be myself. It'll be myself and Dean accompanying you tonight, Dominic. I trust this is fine.
Dude's me fine.
I feel like everyone used to call him Dom.
Yep.
And then everyone started calling him Dominic. But his name is still listed as Dom. Making it weirder that everyone's calling him Dominic now.
Yes.
I don't...
This game makes me feel high.
It feels like it feels like it's almost a little bit of an assumption that Dominic's even what Dom is short for. Like, it could be a surprise. You don't know. This plot twist shortened names.
It could be short for Donald, the Irish name.
I mean, yeah.
That's very funny. That's a very funny joke. That's a very funny joke, and I'm very funny for saying it.
You're hilarious. Very funny. So, we heading in. You'll show me the route off the mountain, and then I'll come back.
You got it. And then you got some amount of time to scram before we pay a visit in person.
All right, well, let's get going. It's already started to get dark, and it's only going to get darker. Weird that we planned on doing it now.
Stay close. Don't fall behind because I'm not stopping.
That's a weird thing to say to your hostage.
Wait, the plan ended up being Dean and Oswin go?
Yeah.
Wait, it's just hitting me that...
Yeah, because the extent of their plan is, well, when Dave went, he died, and when Roswell went, he died. So instead of thinking everyone who goes dies, they're like, we'll send Dean now. That's the plan.
Okay.
It's
just weird that they didn't try that before, and that all of the reasons for wanting the other people to do it, just like...
They didn't
don't
like
make any
land
sense.
on
It was Dean the whole
land
time.
on a particularly strong reason that Dean would survive. So they're just trying the next person, seemingly.
Yeah, they're just trying the next person
instead
down
of
the
like
list.
doing
Yeah.
cause and effect and being like, maybe whoever we send dies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's cool. It's fine.
So logically, there's no real reason this isn't just another doomed timeline.
Yeah. I need to eat food. I need food in my body.
Is it time to stop for the day?
I think it's time to stop for the day.
Okay.
I think we're stopping. I
Next
think
time
Dom
we'll see
is
this.
saying we're not stopping, but Toaster's saying we are.
Dom was extremely wrong, it turns out. Not very Dom energy, honestly.